All right, Alex, welcome back to the Nova University podcast. Can you introduce yourself again to the people that are probably listening to this to part two or probably listening to this one time?
Sure. Thank you for having me. My name is Alex. I am a real estate investor turned creator, and I spent the last 10 years buying single and multifamily real estate in North Carolina and got my little bit of financial freedom. And then in 2021, when I was buying multifamily and real estate sort of cap rates were too compressed and there was no money to be made, I decided I would take a few years to travel the world with my camera and tinker with that. So I did that. So 2021, 22, I went to like, I don't know, 8 or 9 different countries, got paid to take photos. And then in 23, a guy named Brandon Turner asked me to come move to Maui and help him build a video podcast and do content with him. So for the last year, I have been in Maui doing that.
Nice. I feel like you have the whole script embroidered in your brain right now, like
No,
your
I just learned it for the
biography.
first time. No.
So, what's been happening in the last 2 years? Since our old podcast episode. Well, you've been like, I guess you've been in Maui with Brandon Turner. How's that going?
Uh, it's got like everything else. It's got challenges. I mean, Maui's lovely. It's paradise. But it's also the most isolated place on planet Earth. It's got challenges, right? Living in Maui has challenges, but it's a wonderful opportunity. Brandon's good people, learning a lot, trying to build a media machine. Not easy. We traveled to 5 or 6 different cities in the U.S. with a mobile, high production quality podcast. So, been working on that. Just kind of waiting for, you know, my next way to make money.
Mhm.
This has been a fun little side quest, I'd call it. But
Well, why
yeah,
do you call
I
it a
really
side quest? In a way.
look, you could be an entrepreneur or you could be an artist, but what you can't be is, you know, somebody else's artist. I'm too good at making money to not do it, and I'm too good of an artist to do it for somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful little this is a wonderful opportunity, and I'm helping to build this tribe, and I'm grateful for all of it. But you know, it's not mine,
hmm It's someone
so
else's.
it's somebody else's.
Yeah. So you kind of want to be your own Jeff Bezos in a way, in your own company. Is that am I saying that right?
I wouldn't say Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is the richest guy on planet Earth. Jeff
Y-
Bezos
y-
built the biggest, baddest, hardest company that exists. No, I'd rather be somebody like everywhere in the middle is attainable.
I feel like you could be the best. Why not? You have
I
the
think
spirit
I think
to
a lot
it.
of people talk. I think a lot of people talk that way, and they think
Yeah.
it's easy. Um,
It's not easy.
it's not even possible for most people.
Yeah. But you've been through the fires. Like you've kind of like fought the battles and you're like, oh, I'm used to this shit. Versus someone that's starting off and they're like, oh, I can't wait to start wholesaling. I can't wait to buy real estate. And they talk about it, but you actually do the action. Versus
Um,
Jeff
I've
Bezos
never
that
s-
got with.
I've never wholesaled a house. I've
Mhm.
never, I don't. I look everybody. I have my little skill sets. I have my strengths. I have my weaknesses. But like, Jeff Bezos started Amazon in 1990 something, and he bought a website when websites were new called
Mhm.
Relentless.com. Relentless.com. And if you go to relentless.com today, he still owns it.
What is it now?
Check it out.
Here, let me see. It is like it's just relentless.com. That's it.
Yeah. Imagine
That's,
1995 and you buy this URL when nobody was buying URLs.
is it just it's just Amazon.
Just Amazon.
The hell? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess he merged it in a way.
We just redirected it. My point is,
Yeah.
I am not Jeff Bezos. That guy had one vision. He executed on one vision and he never gave up. And um, I am I am not that person. So I would like to make more money. I would like to find my next entrepreneurial endeavor. It probably won't be in real estate in the same way it was the last 10 years, but I am not Jeff Bezos.
Why is that? Why not? Like what's changing for you? What is that new entrepreneur thing? And do you think like going after that, you know, how people are like, hey, stick to one thing. Do you think that kind of affects you in a way? Because now that you're going through a new adventure, they're like, but this helped you so far. Why would you do something new?
What helped me?
Real estate. Like you've been doing real
Uh,
estate so far.
yeah, I love real estate. In real estate was appealing to me when I started in 2014 because it was all underpriced. We had just gone through a giant crash. Around 2017 or 18, the foreclosure market had mostly dried up and it was retail. So now you were paying for houses what they were worth, right? Rates were still low. In 2020, 21, 22, right? You're now paying arguably more than a house is worth. You went into
Hmm.
this mania phase of the cycle where everybody's excited, everybody wants to buy up all this real estate, and so they're buying houses that almost don't make money just to be part of like, I watched this in 2007. It's called the real estate only goes up game. Well, in 2022, when prices were above probably what they should be, when houses are overpriced and then rates go up, you know, it real estate becomes a lot less appealing. I mean, are you loyal to? I'm not loyal to real estate. I'm loyal to profitability.
Of course.
Yeah. So
So what is this new adventure or is this like a secret thing that you're doing?
I don't have secrets. No, in fact, I don't know what I want to. I don't know exactly what I want to do because I don't have that clarity yet. So that's why I've been kind of tinkering with cameras for so long. Also, the market's still really people are too confident.
Yeah.
You know, when things really get ugly, then opportunity will become apparent. But right now, it's still very hard. Not to say you can't make money, but
And
I don't want to go off and get some yeah, especially like I'm not really an entrepreneur, I'm an investor. So I only want to buy things that are underpriced. I only want to buy things that are underpriced.
yeah.
If it's overpriced, I definitely don't want it. And if it's retail priced, right? This is the best way to buy real estate, in my opinion. You have a business that makes a ton of cash and you don't know what to do with that cash. So you stick that in real estate. If you can't reinvest the cash directly back into the business, you stick it in real estate, you get the depreciation, you pay no taxes, and the real estate rises passively over time. But it's not like before, 5, 6+ years ago, when real estate was underpriced. So you could buy this thing, it would make money day one because it was worth more than you paid for it. So now it's a great place to stack excess cash. It's not a great place to make excess cash.
Gotcha. It's like a parking spot now. Uh,
Yeah,
now,
it's great. It's the best parking spot. But
do you think do you think it's also the people as well? Like, is it the real estate people that's kind of changing in a way for you, or is it like, hey, you kind of want to see what's
what do
more
you?
out there because you're a networking person more than
Sure.
anything, and you kind of go towards more like people will give you business more than business itself. So you kind of are attracted to the people. So would that mean you like kind of letting go of like the real estate type of people, or and you're kind of dabbling into more of what you're trying to? Well, you say you're still trying to figure it out of what those people might be.
I like the real estate community. If I could do business with them, I would.
Hmm.
But there's just not. I mean, there's still deals to be had. Not to say there's not deals to be had, but um, again, we talk about Fayetteville. I was just talking about Fayetteville with somebody, and it's like, you know, trying to buy a C class multifamily that should be an 8 cap, but sellers still want a 5 cap, right?
Hmm.
That's a let's do some quick math on a property that's like $5 million, right? If it makes $100,000 to $1 million a month, $1 million a year
Hmm.
in in net cash flow, and it's 3 points. If it's 3 points, I'm gonna fuck this math up, aren't I? Yeah. Hang on. It's like that would make it like something like $3 million overpriced. If a property makes $1 million a year net, and you buy it at a 5 cap, and you should buy it at an 8 cap, it's $3 million overpriced.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
not
want to
worth
buy
it.
things that I don't want to. Of course, it's not worth it, right? But that's where sellers are. They're still trying to get their 5 caps and their 6 caps, and we should be, you need to be for a property that you should be getting for say 8, 7.5, 8. So I I'm just not gonna buy things that don't make money.
Okay, so now you're kind of getting into the idea of like starting your own business in a way. So what is that looking like? Like you say you
Private
don't,
equity,
you still don't know?
buying businesses.
Buying businesses? Okay.
Yeah. So like right now, I don't know if exactly going to do this, but like right now, the thing I'm hot on is buying food franchises, fast food
Oh,
franchises.
okay. Like a
Yeah.
McDonald's and like a Burger King type thing.
More like a Marco's Pizza.
Okay. Dough's
Yeah.
cheap. Yeah. So
What
why
is it?
like making like pizza, like having a pizza shop is like the cheapest out of all like franchises because the dough and everything is like cheaper to buy for like supplies and stuff.
I don't know enough. Now, that's not why I would like it. No, it's more like
Why?
food franchises are growing, and it's cash flow, which I like. The part that
Hmm.
I miss about real estate is cash flow, and with a franchise, the system is built for you. I don't. I'm not a. I'm an investor. I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't know how to build a system. I'm not a systems guy. So with a franchise, the system's already done. And
Hmm.
how many of you guys are excited to go buy a fucking pizza shop?
Excited?
Yeah,
Like if I could, I mean, it'd be nice to own one as like ego way, but not like a
ego,
yay, you
bro.
know?
What?
Like I would like to own something, you know? It's like, hell yeah, I own it, you know? Hey, I own that place. It's like why
Okay. Well,
when you play
that doesn't factor into how I buy business, how I buy investments.
what do you mean?
My
It's like when
ego.
I'm thinking of like a monopoly board. Like you roll it and you land on it, you're gonna buy it because you own it. You're not gonna think
That
like,
is not
oh,
that is not a good that is not a good investment thesis.
okay, I'm
I'm just
not
putting that
okay,
out
not
there.
an investment way. I'm saying like you
Okay,
asked the question, would you own it?
okay. My point is, okay, who is like, okay, I said food franchises. Who's
Yeah,
gonna exit this call and then go do a mountain of research? They're like, yeah, food franchises. That's the opportunity. Most people are like, not that interested,
yeah.
right? So good. I want the thing that nobody else wants. That's how it gets underpriced
Okay. So you like the
because people don't want
underpriced,
it.
so, and if people don't want it, well, what is your goal with it? Is it trying to sell it one day or just trying to like,
Yeah. So what the current goal is we already own. My partner owns two Marcos and a Dairy Queen. He's closing on a Dairy Queen this week.
oh, nice.
So our current goal is we're gonna do like say we did Marcos Pizza, Dairy Queen, and like Popeyes franchises, and we went across the country and we went city by city and we bought five apiece, five franchises, to start, put an area manager in there. So the goal is can we get to 100?
Hmm. Like a
Can we
hundred
get to 100 franchises?
by like how many years?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Infinite. Okay. So,
Yeah, doesn't
Sam,
matter.
you got your question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask. So since you're reaching out to like franchise businesses, right? Are you like talking to like someone who owns a franchise business saying like I want to buy this, or like are you finding previously owned ones and being like I'm trying to buy your business?
Like how yeah, how does that
Yeah,
work with franchising?
yeah. I'm new to it. We've only been working on this for about a month. Matt's been on it for about 6 months. So I mean, the gist is this, right? There's when you own a Marco's Pizza, you get access to and he already owns two. You get access to all the other Marco's Pizzas in the country of owners who want to sell.
Okay.
So they have like a private marketplace for owners to talk to other owners that want to sell. So now we have this list of owners that want to sell, and so we're reaching out to them and be like, "Give me your financials. Why aren't you making money? Why do you want to sell?" And you just do the due diligence like you'd normally do. Is this a bad location? Is this a bad operator? Um, or do you just is this what's the story here and figure out like where is the opportunity? It's the same thing as buying multifamily. It's the same thing as buying a house. You're like, hey, why is this house so cheap? Oh well, fucking fire. It's you got to rehab it. Well, it's the same. You want to find a problem that somebody else doesn't want that you can solve. So we're now talking to owners and being like, why do you want to sell? So there's one of them in Spring Lake. I think we're going to buy the one in Spring Lake. It's dirt cheap, right? It's like, do
Mhm.
you want to own a Marco's Pizza in Spring Lake? It's like, that sounds fucking scary, right? That's where the
Yeah.
money is. The money is in problems. That's just life. That's
Now,
economics. The money is in problems. That's why real estate's so hard right now because all the houses have been flipped. They spent
that
the last
yeah.
15 years flipping houses, flipping apartment buildings, people buying them up, and now there's not that many problems. There's still houses that have problems, and that's what the wholesalers are kind of getting after them. But a lot for the last 20 years, 15 years, everybody's been flipping houses and apartments. So like, there's just not as many problems, and there's way more buyers. So now it's like, where do you go next? That fits your sort of like investment thesis. And there's problems. So, like, for example, Marcos is the 5th largest pizza chain in the country, and they want to be the 4th. So they have a problem. There's not enough stores in the Midwest for them. They want to open, they're all in the East Coast. So our goal is, hey, let's go get 4 or 5 of these things, figure out how to run them, and then go to them and be like, hey, we'll build, there's 3 Marcos pizzas in Austin. There should be 10. So what if I talk to them and say, I'll go build, I know how to do this. By then, the goal is they'll know me. I'll know how to run a pizza. It's like, let's get the financing and we'll go build 5, 6 Marcos pizzas in Austin, Texas.
Bada
Put a
bing.
fucking Dairy Queen,
Yeah.
put a Dairy Queen across the street, like do this whole thing. And then what you do, private equity is valued based on EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Net. Let's call it net profit. Well, the higher your net, right? When you hit certain thresholds, you get different multiples. It's just like multifamily, but it's actually a little bit better than multifamily, because in multifamily, if you buy at a 6 cap and you sell at a 5 cap, you get that 1% multiple of net. But with private equity, right? Here's the thing. And I do this in 10 years or 15 years, I own 100 franchises. When you hit certain levels of EBITDA, so for example, say, hey, look, this thing makes $5 million a year now. When you hit that $5 million threshold, instead of being valued at a 3x, you're valued at a 5x. So not only do you make more money, you also get to sell it for a bigger multiple. So the goal is to collect these things like Pokemon, jack the total company net profit up, sell it to a bigger firm, and be like, look, this thing runs. All you have to do is collect money. You sell it to private equity. So that's
Now,
like sort of the goal.
do you think that's going to be like more people are going to get into that, like how they did with flipping? Like, whoa, one person gets into it now, more people are going to get into it.
I
No.
don't.
Okay.
No. I mean, franchises are not new information. The reason that people got into flipping houses is because we went through a foreclosure boom, right? We went through a foreclosure boom. And so houses were all, I mean, people say like, oh, demand's so high now. I'm like, it was high then. That's why the prices were going up so fast in 2006 and 7. Prices were going so fast. So like, we went through this boom, and now the boom is gone, and like, everyone's just basically like living off of the Federal Reserve. But depending on what the Fed does, which, that's a whole other conversation, but like, depending on what the Fed does, let's just say interest rates stay where they are for the next 10 years, which is a very likely scenario. They just stay 10 years. All the excitement about people rushing into real estate is going to go away, because they're going to start learning. There's no money to be made. Just like they took a long time to figure out, people get into real estate in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. I'm like, but in 2011, right? That was the time to buy. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's like a 5-6 year stint where prices were super low and nobody cared.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, 2017, 18, 19, people are like, oh my God, real estate, did you know? Right? It's like the general consumer market is like always trails profitability. So now it's the same thing right now. Real estate has like really stopped being appealing, at least to me, in 2020, 2021. And, people are still excited about it. I'm not saying taking away from anything from real estate, but it's definitely not an underpriced opportunity, right? You got to work way harder to make smaller margins. So that's going to wear on people, and they're going to be like, I'll just go do something else. Now, are they going to go check out Marco's Pizzas? I mean, sure, some of them are, but like a lot of it right now, if you see like the marketing is, gyms are hot because of Alex Ramosi. Laundromats are hot because of Cody Sanchez. And you're going to see this like service-based businesses. A lot of people are going to go to fucking roofing. They're going to go to HVAC. They're going to go to plumbing, these service-based businesses, because those are hot right now. It's probably a little too much management for a guy like me. It doesn't fit my investment thesis, which is, mostly I want cash. I want passive cash flow. I want as close as I get to passive cash flow. So with a franchise, and look, I'm not pledging my allegiance to this. I'm just learning this within the last probably 45 days. So what do I know? But with a franchise business, like, you have all the kinks of the business built, like fixed. Somebody's already done it. They're like, this is how you run a Marco's Pizza. This is everything you need to know. Here's the manual. All you have to do is like hold somebody to the standard of like, this is how you make a pizza. This is how you mop the floor. This is how you deliver a pizza. Here's marketing. So for me, it is not a very glamorous, and for a lot of people, it's not a glamorous business, right? It's like, yeah, Marco's Pizza, they're okay. Where the opportunity is really is not where the real opportunity is scale,
Mhm.
right? Can I own 50 of them?
Okay. That is the goal of that. Sami, you have a follow-on question with that?
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask. So say like after you buy it, right? How would you find like management and stuff like that, or do they, like the franchisees already offer to you?
Yeah, I'm that's probably beyond the scope of my understanding at this point. What I'm going to do for the first one is I have a partner who I'm going to install to sort of help me run it boots on the ground. I may or may not. I may end up moving back to Fayetteville for a little while to like go work in a fucking pizza shop at 40 years old. Whatever it takes. But you can get managers if you get them to run right. The average Marco's Pizza makes $1 million a year, and you net after debt about 18% on average. So you get $180,000. That includes a small time manager, but that's if you do it right, that's $180,000 a year to maybe incentivize somebody to run it and say, hey, I'll give you 10% in net.
Mhm.
You know, would you work for another extra $1,500 a month? Would you like, hey, be a manager, be a good manager, care about net? And then the other side of that is again, scale solves almost every business problem. So it's like if you had 5 stores and you made $150,000 to $180,000 each, well, and they're all in like a geographic 30 to 45, maybe an hour drive each, you can install an area manager and pay them, you know, a low 6-figure sum to be in charge. Well, now you have scalability because now it's like, okay, well, I can go get 5 in another area and do the same thing. So that's my plan. I don't have just like real estate, bro. It sounds good on paper.
It does.
It's a good sales pitch, but whether or not that actually comes to fruition and works the way I think it will work, who knows?
Yeah, and why not like start your own type of like pizza shop versus opening up opening up a franchise?
Do you know what business has the highest rate of bankruptcy of any business industry?
Is this family owned types of businesses?
Restaurants.
Restaurants? Okay.
I don't want to be in the restaurant business. I want to be in the franchise business. Big and they're different because first off, you don't go to Marco's Pizza to sit down and eat, right? I don't care about like you search on Google like pizza, or you go to Uber Eats, right? Or you see one on the street and you're like, I just delivery, bro. Delivery. I want to put it in the app and I want that thing here in 30 minutes.
Okay.
Right? It's like Dairy Queen. I'd love to own a Dairy Queen. I don't want to be in the restaurant business. I want to be in the franchise business. Here's a business model. We know it works. Just install the system, throw some capital at it. You do need good management, but like you don't have to go. How do you run a business? How do you run a restaurant? Do you know anything about what menu are you going to get? What food are you going to get? What kind of cook are you going to get?
I don't know.
Me neither. Don't want to know. Fucking pizza. I love pizza. Everybody in the room probably loves pizza, unless you're, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Does anybody not like pizza?
I think everyone likes pizza.
Everybody likes pizza, right?
Yeah.
So,
But
do you,
my thing is like if
but
you do go work there, like wouldn't that kind of make you in the restaurant business now since you have to learn everything about it?
dude, to own a Marco's, you have to go to Marco's school anyway.
What
6
the
weeks of
y-
making pizzas.
are you doing that?
I applied.
Damn, okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you go work at a restaurant, guess what? If I started my own restaurant, guess what you're gonna be doing?
Going to school?
There ain't no fucking school. If you start your own, you're gonna be figuring out how to make that food
That is
when
true. Yeah, yeah.
a cook quits, a dishwasher quits in the middle of a shift because it's the hard work, right? They quit, and now what are you doing? Right? A waitress quits, and now you're an employee. This is known scalable. It's operations. It's not trying to figure out a new business model. I don't want to figure out a new business model. I don't want to work in the business. What I'm willing to do is go work in the business to make sure we can work the kinks out and get this thing running.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if you think restaurants are the most like failing business, why not like do
It's not think, it's a fact.
okay. Why not do a franchise of like a gym or something that's like not restaurant
Yeah.
related?
Yeah, I would. But the life is like I already have a friend who owns 2 of these and he's just raking in cash. And he's like, what if we bought 50 of these? And I'm like, I'm in. That sounds good. So it's not like I have another friend who wants to buy manufacturing companies. Much harder, much different, much more difficult. So I might do a little bit of both. I'm not like pledging allegiance again to one thing, but you know, I guess my question to you in return would be like, what exactly are you going to sink your teeth into for the next 10 years? Because the faster you can pick something, the better off you're going to be. This idea of like waiting around for the perfect opportunity or perfect idea. It's like, I did that with real estate when the opportunity was real estate, I went all in. I did it for 10 years. We bought 85 doors. And then when the opportunity is gone, it's like, you got to pivot. Now, what's the next big opportunity? It's like, I don't know, but I don't want to wait 5 years to figure it out. So you got to pick something. And this may or may not be my thing, but like right now I'm learning about it to see if, if it's going to be possible.
Okay. And
But I would buy another franchise. Like, I'd buy like, I wouldn't want to own like a Gold's Gym, but I would want to own like an Anytime Fitness or a Planet Fitness. I'd own one of those.
would
Why?
do you want to be, I guess, like proud of it too? Like, hey, like like I don't like Planet Fitness. I do like a gym
Why?
that's all free weights and like barbells and all that versus
Does that
just
make,
machines.
do they make money?
Uh, the ones that I know, yes. The ones
Yeah.
that Planet Fitness probably makes
The
more money
average,
though.
there you go. I
That's
wouldn't go
true.
to there to work out.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not,
not
I'm not trying to
wrong.
go there to work out. I mean, like, what are we trying to do here? I mean, dude, this is the second time now in this conversation that your ego has gotten in the way of like decision making.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I understand you want to be proud of something. I understand you want to be proud of something. I'm not saying to not be proud of like what you own, but also like I don't want to flex if that's what you're asking.
Mhm.
I don't need to flex to be like, yeah, I own that thing. I'd rather be like, yeah, I'm doing the thing that you're not thinking of because you're too busy trying to look cool. And mine makes money.
Okay. So you are the investor, not the entrepreneur. So how do you actually get in front of, like you said, like people are trailing, right? The common people are trailing, whether it's flipping, whether it's like Bitcoin or anything, right? They're always trailing behind. How do you be the person that's always up front with everybody else?
I don't know if I'm upfront with everybody else. I think I'm not a trailblazer. I'm a contrarian. So I just look at what everybody's doing and then I run the opposite direction. Right. I was getting in real estate when people were literally to my face. They were like, "You're going to buy real estate? Don't you know it just crashed? Are you fucking crazy?" That's what real estate was like when I got in. Now people they're like, "Oh my God, Alex, you're not doing real estate?" And I'm like, no, now everybody knows it's fucking good. Now there's no money in it. So I always just go to, it's like the pizza place. You guys are like, what? Never thought about that. I'm like, right. Exactly right. Nobody's thinking about it. Nobody wants it. Nobody's interested. Nobody's like, yeah, fucking Dairy Queens. That's where the money's at. It's like, there's a lot of money in that. It's just not sexy. Right. I want to do the thing that like, I'll give you another example. Let me give you an example. If you invest in the S&P, you're going to make an average of 9% per year. That's the average.
Yeah.
That's where everybody is. So it's like, it's sort of like efficient market theory. So the idea being like capital in the market is allocated in a way that everybody's using efficient resources. If something's underpriced, people will figure it out. They will move their capital there and it will become properly priced. And so like if you're just investing in the S&P, you make the average. So the way to make money is to do like the Warren Buffett method, which is you scrub financial financial reports all day, right? And you find the companies that are trading at below what you think they should be worth and you invest in them. But if you just do like what's popular, you're going to buy Apple, Amazon, FANG. I don't know how familiar you guys with stocks, like the FANG stocks, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google.
Mm-hmm.
They're properly priced. It's not a fucking secret. Nvidia, it's no secret. Tesla's overpriced. I don't know. It's insane how Tesla's valuation.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go and do what everybody's doing, by the time you figured it out, right? Who got rich on Facebook stock? The people that were investors before it went public. By the time it goes public, everybody knows Not to say you can't make money, but you have to make over 9% per year to beat the average. So you have to go with what's not that popular if you want to make above average returns. Now you also take above average risk, but
And to find those that are okay, to find things that are not popular, right? You can't be a hermit inside your crib all day. You have to be, I'm guessing, exploring, talking to people every day.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of hard to explain, I guess. Like, go on the internet and look at what's really popular and then check all those, like, cross all those off. Everybody already knows. Not to say there can't be make money on it, because there's ways to make money in, like, again, service businesses. It's like, how many of you guys want to start a lawn care business?
Not really.
Why?
Sounds like more work than more return.
Oh, it's a lot of return because there's so much work, but you got to be fucking good.
Yeah. And you got,
Yeah, it's a lot. You got to have people that are willing to do labor, and then you got to
yes.
get customers, right? It's a lot of work. So there's work and hard. So, like, you can either go find the kind of like the thing that it's the same thing. You got to go find the thing that other people don't want to do. So whether it's just not sexy, right? It's just not sexy, or it's hard, right? Or, like, for example, the last 10 years, self-storage blew up because for 30 years, self-storage was written by paper contracts and, paid by checks. And then this thing came along. Right? And you're like, wait, you can sign on and own a self-storage locker by buying one on your phone. It'll give you an entry key. You can show up to the facility that's 100% unmanned, right? And open the gate with a Bluetooth signal, and then you can get in your locker with a Bluetooth signal. So, like, and I watched a few friends do this, and they're like, this business that was making X for 30 years now is way more profitable because you can fire all the fucking employees and replace it with one Bluetooth, computer, one main computer. So, like, there's opportunity around, dude, but it's just like, by the time it's, again, like self-storage right now. I mean, most of the Kmart's in North Carolina, my buddy goes to them all the time as they were failing, and he converts them to self-storage facilities.
Nice.
Right. But it's been done. So, like, you got to figure it out. And that's why you got to talk to people, actually, because people are like paying attention. If you just, like, go to the internet and you're like, if you Google, like, how do I make money? You're going to get the easiest answers, which are invest in the stock market and make the average. And, like, look, dude, making 9% is not that bad. The problem with making the average, here's the fucking problem. I'll explain it to you. I'll show you real quick.
Okay.
So, like, what's the S&P up this year?
Jay, would you know? Since you kind of trade stocks all the time.
Year-to-date average on the S&P. So here's the problem, and this is what people don't fucking get about, like, they're like, I made 15% in the stock market this year, right? Oh, congrats. S&P for the year is up 23.4%. So you're up 15 in a market that's up 23. You're actually down 8% from what you would get if you just invested in the S&P. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
it does.
So, like, you got to find something that, I mean, we're talking about averages, but, like, you got to find something that's harder, because I don't know. You got to find something that's harder, because if you're just going to make 8 or 9%, you got to compare it. Like, I can buy the ETF, basically take, diversified risk, and I can make 8 or 9% on average. Now, some years it's going to be up and some years it's going to be down. It's up 23% for the year, but it was also fucking way down last year. Right?
Yeah.
So it averages out. But, like, you got to go find, I don't know how to tell you to go find an opportunity that nobody else knows about. That's the whole fucking point.
That is, it's like finding treasure. You're a pirate at the end of
Well,
the day.
how do you find treasure? Yeah, how do you find treasure?
You get a map, but
Is it because everybody's there and they know about it?
no.
No, you got to go, right. You got to go find the thing that nobody else is. You find treasure because you go tell 100 people, you're like, I'm going to go be a treasure hunter. And they're like, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
They're not going to go do that. The gold rush. How did the gold rush happen? It's people moving west. It was people moving west in droves, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, who got all the money? It was the people that were early. They're like, you're fucking crazy. You're not gonna gold just in the water, just like hanging out in these rivers. It's like, yeah, but you got to, what do you got to do? You got to pick up your family, right? Trudge them along, right? Well, it's the early 1900s. You got to trudge them over to the West Coast where there's nothing, right? They're getting dysentery, right? You lose 3 kids along the way, and you
Damn.
can get a little, and you can get a little bit of gold. And what happened to the gold rush, right? Once it got popular,
Oh, after that, it's not the people that are digging gold that was making money. It's people that are selling the shovel.
okay, that's right. What happened? Nobody made any more money because they
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
mined it all, right? So once it's popular, game's up. Who bought Bitcoin at $60,000 per coin? Did they make all the money?
No.
No. The people who made the money are the people that bought it for $1 a coin 10 years ago. And guess what their friends were saying? Fucking
Buy it.
nerd. No. Are you serious? No. They were like, Bitcoin. No. All the famous stories about like I paid for a pizza with 2 Bitcoins. And like it was all a big joke to everybody. And then they're like, fuck, that's 120 grand in 2020.
Yeah.
Right. It's still that's 80 grand now. That's like expensive pizza. So like you had to be there when everybody told you that you were an absolute lunatic.
Mhm. Well,
You talked about Jeff Bezos earlier. That's a perfect example. The whole story was he brought this business model to his professor at whatever college in Washington he was at, and his professor's like, nobody can compete with the U.S. Postal Service. You're a lunatic, right? And gave him like a C. You ever heard this story before?
no,
He
I
brings
haven't.
the Amazon business model to his professor, and they're like, "This is fucking stupid."
And like he just did it either
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. He's like, "Okay, fine,
Do,
you're
do you
wrong."
understand? Do you understand like how this is like almost like a scary like it is like to a normal okay, I wouldn't say normal, but like a regular, not okay, I don't even want to say regular, but a person that is all about, hey, if they just do the right thing, they can succeed, right? Like you know how you heard
Mhm.
like probably like Asian parents, they say like, hey, if you want to succeed, you got to be a doctor, engineer, or a lawyer. Do one of those three, and you become successful. You got to go to college. You got to get you got that's how you become successful. Now, that's like a roadmap. Like people can see the roadmap, and then now it's like, oh, you don't have to go to college. They're like, okay, what do I do then? Like, oh, if you just put in this 401k, do this, like, yeah, but like, what if this happens, or what if that happens? Oh, if you do the military for 20 years, you'll get a paycheck. But what if like you get either kicked out or medically discharged? Like now you can't even do 20 years. So there's a lot of things that like now you're saying like, hey, you got to be that pirate to go search for this treasure, while everyone else is probably like following the roadmap of like somewhat like if you think of like a child, like if I always ask this question about somebody, like, hey, do you want it? What do you want for your child? They're like, oh, I want them to go to college, but you didn't go to college. They're like, yeah, but I still want them to somewhat build something. I'm like, but why do you? Since if you didn't go to college, why do you want them to go to college? It's just like a normal thing for them. And like it's like a format, it's like a ladder that they have to follow versus someone that's not going to college and they're trying to be that pirate, that Jack Sparrow looking for what is something that not everyone is doing. And they could take time. Like the biggest thing that I can see that's not wasted, but like it could be like gone just because, hey, like, yeah, self-storage is a thing. Yeah, starting up a gym is a thing. You're just a little too late. What if they're late for something that's already been past done? Like some kid right now that's 18 is figuring out what flipping is. Like he's the trail of the trail, if you get what I'm saying.
What's your question? What should they do if they hit a trend that's already been trending?
Yeah, I guess. I get the best question would be like, how would they get around the idea of becoming that pirate? You know, like how like what is since you're doing it already, you're like, okay, I gotta find what people are not doing. And
Well, so look, people are different. There's archetypes. Some people are certain. Some people fit into, I don't want to say boxes, but like there's archetypes of human beings. I'm a contrarian by nature. Can't help it. Right. So no matter what we talk about, I'm going to have, let's talk about politics. Whatever side you're on, I'll do the other one.
okay, you play devil's
I'm on the other
advocate.
side. I can't help it. I'm not. It's not like a game. It's like I just whatever side of politics you're gonna be on, I'm gonna argue. It's just how I am.
Why?
I can't help it. I can't help it. It's just I can't help it.
Okay.
So that's the way I think. So like, there's people that are like, I'm a contrarian. There's some people that are very entrepreneurial. There's some people that are very um. There are people that are just like they want to play it safe, right? They just want to. My mom's that way. My brother's that way. They go to work every day. They're happy. It's stable. They don't want to take their work home. They make a good living. They're not stressed out about it. They're fine. And there's more people like that than anything else. My way is actually stressful because I'm like, I don't know what my. You're like, what are you gonna do next? I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. So I can't help it. And answer your question about like what should you do to like go find this other way, I'm like, you have to understand, um, you know, if you're not familiar with survivor bias, everybody should go look up what survivor bias is. It's this idea that like Jeff Bezos went off and he's like, I told my professor to go fuck himself, so that's how I started Amazon. Or like the Bill Gates, oh, he quit school. Zuckerberg famously quit Harvard. And so like this idea becomes like, oh, if you quit school, that's how you become rich. No, those are the very tiny, teensy little minority examples. What happens to most people is they fail and you don't hear about it.
Yes.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. So you're like, what should somebody do if they like they're getting into real estate today and it's like you missed it? It's like, I don't know. Go find something else. I don't know what I don't know what the next thing is. Life is fucking unfair, bro. What do I tell you?
No, you're right about that. It's like, like, okay, because I see a lot of people, they're doing this one thing and then because they see someone else on their, their TikTok or whatever, uploading the same footage of it. They're like, hey, if he's able to do it, why can I not able to do it? And now they're working on a skill that is being, because guess what? If you're trying to be a wholesaler now, it was more difficult than those that already were a wholesaler like a couple of years ago, because now they're getting deals from referrals rather than actual research. So that's why
all these things you got to build a whole business in a market that's way harder. It's not to say you can't do it, but it's just harder.
Yeah. So it'd be better to start from, I'm guessing what you're saying, to start a new business based off what hasn't happened yet. Like AI, people are not.
Well, it's yeah. What's the old saying? Like, if you want to fish, go where the fish are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is there wholesaling was huge in 2013 and 14, right? Because there was millions of dilapidated houses across the US that the banks were like, we got to take these fucking things back. And so wholesaler comes along, it's like, oh, I can save you from your house and I can, provide you some cash and we can get you out of this problem. It doesn't exist anymore. That problem got solved, right? All the foreclosures got done. Everybody's in these 30-year mortgages now. Not to say that there's still not people there's always going to be a default rate. There's always going to be somebody that loses a house. So there's always going to be deals. But it's not like a fucking feeding frenzy. Like in 2014, it was like you dropped a body into a lake of piranhas. Right? Now, it's like all the piranhas are sort of like they got nothing to eat.
That is true.
Right? They got nothing to eat. So it's like, a new piranha comes in, it's like, I mean,
do you think you'll be overwhelmed whenever, like you're the piranha, right? And you just got your new, like you're that one piranha that's eating this new body, and now there's more piranhas coming because they smell it. You think like, oh man, now I got to go to something else. Is that a constant rat type of thing? Like
that's life.
Yeah.
That's life, bro. Yeah. There's nothing you're going to find. This is what Warren Buffett, he talks about moats. And it's like, it's kind of like Coca-Cola. He talks about Coca-Cola a lot. It's like, do you know how hard it is to fucking start a drink company?
Probably pretty hard.
And compete with Coca-Cola?
A lot harder.
Right. So it's like, just go find a different lake. So this is what's it called? Like blue ocean strategy, where it's like, just go find the thing where, and there's a lot of in between. You don't have to go invent the next new thing. Like franchises are a good example where it's like most people don't want to dick around with it. And most franchise owners own one.
Really?
So if you go into, yes.
Only one? I thought they would own
Yeah,
like two or three or like.
no, because they're just regular guys that are like, I'm gonna own my own business. They don't have this idea that like, oh no, what we're gonna do is we're gonna buy these things up, we're gonna package them into a holding company, and we're gonna sell them off to private equity in one fell swoop. They're
Hmm,
like, I'm a business owner. Or even still, they own less than five. Let's call it that way.
okay.
So it's like you can take, I don't know. You got to find like little ways to do like your little way of getting opportunity.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be some grand new idea, but it can be like an old idea. It's kind of like we talked about self storage. It's like old idea, new tech. That's what they're doing with like laundromats. That's what they're doing with these service companies, right? It's like traditionally been like somebody comes, knocks on your door and asks if you want your grass cut. They give you a business card. Then you call them and the grass gets too old. And it's like, dude, it's all done on an app now.
Yeah.
I can pay on an app. I can recur. I'll show up, pictures, yada, yada, yada. It's like old, old business, new tech.
It's just being upgraded, it's being enhanced. Zay, you got a question?
Yeah, I got a question. I came halfway through, so my apologies if I'm making you repeat yourself. My happy ass can rewind if you already said it. But what
Okay.
do you feel you had to sacrifice to get to where you are now?
Self-respect.
Self-respect, really?
Um, it's like talking about going to Marco's and flipping pizzas at 40. Right? Fahaben don't want to do it at 30. I can tell. He don't want to go flip pizzas. He don't want
Not
his friends
really.
walking in there.
I feel
Um,
disappointed. Yeah.
you know what? Yeah, right. Exactly right. So the one big thing that I think most people won't sacrifice, and it's sort of the easiest thing to sacrifice, is all material goods. Cars, houses, clothes, booze, flashy.
Yeah.
Everything flashy. Everything that looks like you have money. That's the
Agreed.
easiest and fastest thing to sacrifice, because then you can take that money and you can actually make money with it. And what it does is it puts you in this process of understanding in the world what is show and what is go, what is sizzle and what is steak, what is um what is real and what is posturing, you know? So if you want to get ahead, the easiest way to do it is to live light, because now you can take all the other dollars that you make and you can invest them into, and you can take more risk. If you are constantly playing this game where you're like, I'm trying to get ahead, but also I have to have a nice car and buy flashy clothes, it's like competing motives, competing goals. And one of them is real, a balance sheet, and one of them is fake. And let me tell you something. The cars are the best example because cars get old. And so the car that was super impressive to be driving up in my, the Escalade was like the big fancy thing when I was younger, right? The Escalade. I'm like, let me show you a 20-year-old Escalade. Let me show you how fucking cool that looks now. You know what I mean? Like now nobody cares. Or like, what was it? It was like the old SL 600. They had this old Mercedes SL S600 that they used to sell to troops off of Fort Bragg. The car was like a $70,000 car new, right? But they were notoriously unreliable. And so they would come down in price so fast. And what troops would do is they'd go to these rock lots and they'd buy this fucking S600 and they're like, yo, I'm driving I'm driving an S series, an S class, right? And they could get one for like 5, 10, 8 grand, something like that. And they would look like they had their shit together. And then anything would break and it'd be like a $2,000 bill. And you guys know in the military, it's like a couple of $2,000 car bills fucking take you out.
Yeah.
All right. That is so the easiest thing you can do, like when you said like sacrifice, it's like, dude, I drive a car that's probably worse than everybody on this call.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I
I disagree on
I
that one too.
Okay, fair. I don't know. I
Well, sorry,
drive
Joe.
cars. I drive cars I drive a car that's far worse than most of my tenants. I drive a 2005 Honda CRV that just clipped 200,000 miles.
Hey, he's just like my dad.
No, I drive like a Jeep Grand Cherokee that has like over 240,000 miles, and I'm like,
Good.
yeah.
But
It's a
my balance sheet is no joke.
but what do you want to do with your balance sheet at the end of the time? Like, do you want to die with like zero, or do you think you're gonna die with at least something in your bank account?
Don't care or think about it that much, to be honest. I mean, I got a long way to live. What's the old game? The Rockefeller game was first make more than everybody else, then give away more than everybody else.
Okay.
I
So
probably am not gonna win that game, but I don't have kids. I'm probably not gonna have kids, so I don't give a shit.
so what is your plan anyway? Like what is your goal with like doing all this at the end of time? Like not end of time, but like when you're getting what are you reaching?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't really know. Money is freedom, so I like my freedom. So you need more of it than you probably think, right? People think, oh, like, oh, you can make 50, 60 grand a year free cash flow. And you're like, okay, that's a living, but that ain't thriving. So how much do you need in passive income to like really live an existence that is where money is not really a constraint? What's that number? I don't know.
Statistically, I was like above 80K.
Yeah, I think it's probably closer to 250, 300.
250. Is that with
Yeah, that's where
luxury
it's like,
items?
no, I'm not really into luxury items, but it's more like, can I travel at will? And if I travel, can I travel first class? Because I want to get somewhere fast. Can I travel maybe private sometimes? Not only that, but like, can I not just exist, but like, I want to make new investments. Can I use my money wisely? Can I give some away? Like, I need excess.
Yeah.
I need freedom. I don't want to be constrained by like, so you need 250, 300 grand in passive income. So it's like, first, let me get some breathing room because then I can really stretch out and do the things that I can do. I can do more things for me and the people that I like. I really like making other people money. So that's part of it. It's just, bringing on investors, helping other people make money. The other part of it is the American system, for better or for worse, we worship the dollar. And so if you really want to have a voice and you want people to respect you in the American system, you got to make money first. That's not 100% true, but it's like, if you can make money, then you can sell a book. But if you're just a broke asshole with the political opinions or a broke asshole with philosophical opinions, it's like, well, you're just a broke asshole with opinions, just like all the rest of us. If you go make money and you're like, hey, I have an opinion about politics and I just made $100 million, they're like, well, tell us what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
So for better or for worse, this country does not respect opinions for their worth. They respect money. It's not 100% true, but it's like, if you have money, then people will listen to you.
So do you want more people to listen to you based off like is that part of freedom?
It's part of, yeah, it's part of exercising my, I'm a good communicator and I like solving problems and I like solving abstract problems. So, yeah, I think about dabbling. I think about participating in politics. Money just makes that easier.
Yeah, it does. And you
Yeah.
think that will solve like the problems that you're having now?
The only problem I have now is myself, and that's probably not going away.
Jay, you got a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, do you like solo dolo work as far as like improving or do you like network or having a team, like a small team, as far as spending your money?
I'm not sure what you mean by that last part. I'm not an individual. Like, I'm not a solopreneur. I can only work in teams. So everything I do, I have partners. Have to. My multifamily, I got partners. This next venture with the pizzas or whatever that ends up being, the private equity, partners. I only work with partners.
Why is that?
Best guess, because I have very pronounced strengths and very pronounced weaknesses, and I don't like doing my weaknesses. And so when I'm forced to do things like systems building or doing the same consistent thing over and over again, I fail. And so what I do is I partner with people like my partner VJ, who just motherfucker does he does our books month in, month out. My mom does some of my books now too. But every time I have a system where it's like somebody has to do this week in, week out, I go find a partner or hire somebody. You do it. I can't do that. I'll go do the next new thing, right? I'll go buy a Marcos. Somebody else is gonna have to run it. I'll go buy 10 of them. Like I'm good at just like the we call it's called quick start, but it's basically like if you've ever taken I recommend everybody take the Colby test. It's like $50, but I recommend you do it. And what it does is you find out it's like a personality test, but it's for business. And so one of them is like quick start. And I'm like 10 out of 10 quick start, which basically means I can take an idea and I can put it into the world very quickly. And I don't care if it's ugly, rough, beat up, and isn't systemized. But my skill set is being like, okay, we're going to buy Marco's Pizza. I fucking reach out to the guy and I get his financials. I go to apply to Marco's Pizza franchise. I start spinning up my partners. I go to the property. I start ordering pizzas. I find out where the opportunity is. Boom, 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 boom. We're going to have a Marco's Pizza before you know it. And then I'll be like, I don't know how to run it. That's not my problem. I can't do that. Somebody else has to handle that stuff, but I'll go buy another one. So like understanding where your skill sets are allows you to lean into your strengths and then hire out your weaknesses. I'm just not some people are really good at solo. I didn't catch your name, Jay. Sorry. But I didn't like some people are really good at solo. I'm not, and I don't mind sharing both profit or glory. Because what happens is, and here's the thing I learned about partners, is that you take a partnership. I got a partner. I got one of my deals. I got 2 partners on it. So I got 3 pieces, right? It's 10%, 10%, 10%. So you might think, well, Alex, you took only 10%. You could have had 30, or call it, you took 33%. You could have had 100. And I'm like, right. But the interesting thing is the part of the work that I do, my 10%, my third of the work is very easy for me. So it never feels like work.
Mm-hmm.
And the part that they do is very, very hard for me. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm not doing any work and they're doing all the work. And we get paid. I get paid my 33%, right? I got my 10% ownership for only doing things that I like doing.
And is that the same way for them
now
as well?
Yeah, because because for this deal, first I had to find the deal, which means I had to talk to brokers. And then I had to raise all the money. So I raised $1.4 million. And I had to do that by what? Talking to people. Guess what they don't want to do at all?
Talk to people.
Talk to fucking people. They avoid it like the plague.
So you actually like, so you kind of want to have like a team where it's easy for you kind of like want to put them in each spot, like part of the bus, like in their own seat, and in their own seat,
Yeah.
they feel like what they're doing is super easy and what you're doing is super hard. And that's what everyone in their own typical seat is thinking.
Yeah, 100%. What most people do is the opposite. What they do is they go find people just like them because they like them. That's what they do. They're like I'm an extrovert. So then what I do is I go to the networking and I go hang out with all the extroverts and we all talk. And it's like, guess what? We all have the same strengths and weaknesses. I need to go talk to the introverts. I need to go sit down and take my time and calm it down and talk to the people that are scared of talking. Because they do all the work. They do all the spreadsheets. They do all the financials. They do all the ops. Systems. I don't want to do systems. Now, I'm not saying some extroverts can't do systems, but my point is what people do is they go to tendency to go find people like them because they like themselves. And they're like, oh, me and Fahaben, we're best buddies. Let's go start a business together. And it's like, bitch, we're the same person. I don't need you. I need somebody else that does all the things that I don't want to do. Somebody that's not like me.
Now, are you still trying to be like buddies with them too, in a way?
Of course, yeah, you can't. Yeah, you gotta. There's no point in doing business with people you don't like. There's no amount of money that's worth
To like not do business with people you don't like.
There's no amount of money that's worth it to do business with people you don't like. You have to like these people, but you can't be the same as them.
Do you think you're forcing a relationship in a way?
No. All my partners like doing business together. We're all happy. We just have different skill sets. It's not like you have to go find people you have to find people you like. They're just not the same as you. But there's a tendency for people to go find people that are like, they don't do it on purpose.
What do you mean by that? They don't do it on purpose.
I mean, this is why personality tests. I know this is like a weird thing of mine. I find personality tests to be extremely valuable, and I use a couple of them. I use the Colby, I use the Big Five. I really like the Myers-Briggs. And what you do is you find that people are measured in different ways. And so like it's one thing to be it's one thing for me to go hang out with a bunch of extroverts. I know when I meet an extrovert. I know what they're like. But how about somebody who, you know, how do you know if somebody is a systems person versus a like me who's I'm not a systems person, right? I'm a chaos person.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know that about yourself, then you might find somebody else like you that you get along with, but you might if you don't have the words to place into certain behaviors and personalities, you might not know how to articulate why you're different from somebody or why you like somebody. And so then you're just like, oh, I like this person. I don't know why. And it's like, oh, I can tell you why. It's because they're the fucking same as you.
Now, if you had like a girlfriend or a wife, would that mean like you want them to be the total opposite of you? Is that what you're saying as well?
With let me tell you something. This is actually a good point. Business relationships are not marriage, right? Marriage, you can't get divorced. I mean, that's a whole other story. Let's say it. You can't get divorced. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
It's one. You're done. With business, it's like, bitch, you can get divorced anytime you want. It's fine. So you pick your romantic partner differently than you pick your business partner. With a business partner, it's like, I have got to talk to you once, a week, once a month, once a quarter, depending on the relationship. Maybe I talk to you every day. But with a romantic partner, it's like, we got to bang. We have a much different relationship. You know what I mean? So I would not say you should pick opposites. I'll say it like this. With business partners, you probably have 4 or 5 different variables of like what you want to look for in opposites. How do they, and I'm just spitballing here. So this is, I don't have any of this thought out, but like, how do they analyze, interpret, and implement data, right? Are they good at systems? Where are they on the system spectrum? Can they take chaos and turn it into order? Are they good at optimizing systems that already exist? These are like different levels of system implementation. How fast can they go from idea to action? Right? These are all like, are they good at sales? Are they willing to talk to people? How introverted are they? Like how aggressive are they? So like you want to measure somebody differently in all these different variables. Call it, I don't know, something between like 5 and 10 different variables. With a relationship, with a personal relationship, like a romantic relationship, I'm like, that's probably 100 variables. It's much different, right? Because you got looks. I don't care how my partners look at all. I don't care. I don't care how they dress. I don't care their sense of style. I don't care what music they listen to. Nothing. I don't care what they thought about this movie versus that movie. I don't care what they think about religion necessarily. I don't care that they don't like this person. I don't like their childhood trauma doesn't affect me. With a personal relationship, with a romantic relationship, it's like, you know, my fiance's relationship with her dad has a meaningful effect on the rest of my life. That fucking matters. You've got to take a whole different set of things serious, like into consideration. So like opposite is not it is a mistake to go after a romantic partner and think you're going to build a business together and then treat them as a business partner. That's a fucking mistake.
You think a lot of people do that?
I don't think a lot of people do that, but I'm just, the way you're going with this conversation, I just want to make sure I say that clearly.
Okay. Don't make your lover into a business partner.
No, because then you're undoing. Now you got feelings mixed in with business. It's a whole other problem. And it's not going to last. Right? Because now you're talking about business at home. It becomes murky. Then if you're just business partners with somebody, it's like, well, why would I the goal of business is to find the best partners.
Does
you start doing business with somebody?
Does she help you in your business?
Not particularly.
Okay. So you try to
stay at, but she supports me.
Okay.
Right?
What is a way of supporting?
That's a good question. First off, she's endlessly optimistic. She believes in me.
Okay.
That's a lot. That's a lot right there. Because when you're an entrepreneur, Like
I
most
won't
people are gonna
believe
tell you
you.
you're a fucking yeah, like you're a fucking crazy. You're not gonna make it. It's not gonna work. So like having somebody in your corner that every day they're like, just keep going. Yeah, we didn't make money this month. I'll live in a we can go back to she'll say, oh, we can go back to Fable and live in the shitty house. I don't care. As long as we get to be together, I don't care how the money washes out. So then you can go home, you can go to work, and you're like, I don't have the stress of like I have to impress somebody. I'm like, I'm just going to work to do my thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That gives me insights. Do you know what kind of skills would, I guess, help? I guess like future entrepreneurs or investors in a way, because like you're telling me like what I'm thinking in my head, and correct me if I'm wrong, like a software engineer, someone that works with tech can start up any tech business that they want because that's where the future is leading to. So that would be a great skill to acquire. What do you think? And sales too.
If you can do sales, you'll make money forever.
Mhm.
That's how I started. That's why I kind of don't worry about money that much, because I'm like, yeah, I can go to a fucking mattress store and make money. Like I can sell cars at any time. I'll always be able to make enough money, just because I can communicate. So like sales is, if you had to learn anything, it's like everybody should do some sales. It's hard. It's miserable. You got to deal with the public. People are idiots. Um, sales will take you the farthest, actually. As for like tech and everything, I don't know. It depends on what you're interested in. It depends on your personality type. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like you said earlier about like, oh, Asian parents want their kids to be engineers or doctors. And I'm like, right. But what do the kids want to do? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, being a doctor is a great opportunity if you want to heal people and learn medicine and go work in that field. But, if you're an artist at heart, it's going to be a hard road. So I don't tell people like what they should go learn. What I tell people is more like, go learn who you are.
Now, how does one actually do that? Like, hey, learn who you are, because because this is a good question, because yeah, you could travel, you can look at all the rocks and waterfalls that you see, you can meet people, but how do you find yourself? The best way I say is like reading books, getting more information. And sometimes people need that by getting forced to go to school, right? But me, I see like, oh, I like reading books, so I'll get all the books I want, but some books they don't change me. They just repeat what other books have said before. Uh, so how do you find yourself in a way? Or how do you find
Yeah.
what you're good at and you want to
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah. You got to do a lot of things and find out what you're shitty at. It's like this. I ask people in interviews, I'm like, what are you bad at? And they never wanted to answer. Right? Oh, I'm good at everything. And I'm like, no, you're not. Actually, like, who in the room is who's a good musician?
Zay.
Anybody a good musician?
Zay is.
Right. So this is I think about this with Taleb has this quote about role models. He's like, don't fucking think about role models. Instead, think about anti-models. Think about all the people you don't want to be like.
Mm.
What's left? Now, start writing that out. Right? I'm a contrarian. I learned that because I was paying attention. I'm like, why do I disagree with people all the time? Again, if you take the Big 5 personality test, on the chart is agreeableness. It's measured. Turns out I'm low on agreeableness. It's good to know. I just like to disagree.
Do you give all your partners those tests? Your business partners?
No.
So how do you
No.
just find out by like talking to them? Like, hey, this is what they are.
Yeah, you pay attention. You don't go into business with somebody like you just met.
True. What do you do to like kind of filter them out? Like, hey, yeah,
Hang on. Let me answer. Hang on. Let me answer the other question first.
Okay.
You said travel, and it's like, oh, you can go look at trees. It's like, that's not what travel is, by the way.
What is it then?
Travel is going places and trying to talk to taxi drivers, trying to order food in a language that you don't understand, trying to meet people in a place that you don't really know and asking them about it, and trying to understand how the world is different.
Yeah.
Right? Finding out, why do you like going to certain places more than others? Right? What is it about? I love Latin countries. I love Spain. I love Colombia. Right? I love Mexico. Why? Well, their culture is different than, say, The Germans, who are notoriously cold people, right? They're just tough, right? It's like, I'm an extrovert. I like people. If you're
Yeah.
hyper introverted, right? Maybe you wouldn't notice because you're like, I'm not talking to these motherfuckers anyway.
Okay. Now, you don't think that's like one-sided? Like you're just seeing all the good and not really the bad. Like if you went to a third world country, you probably get more development from there than like mental. Like you probably know yourself more from that rather than actually going to like Bulgaria. You know what I mean?
Bulgaria's a hilariously poor country, by the way.
Oh, my bad, my bad. Sorry, I was thinking of Belgium. My bad. You're going to Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium's fancy. Well, I went to Afghanistan in 2003. So,
That was
I've
because
been
of
there.
deployment, though.
Yeah. You don't think I talked to the locals?
Well, I mean, your command is like probably told you to head back in. You can't really explore as much.
No, but
But you
we'll
you
go
wouldn't actually
Afghanistan.
physically go there again, though.
No. No. What does that say about a person? That they won't go somewhere poor?
I don't know. Like they just don't want to. They just don't want to face it.
Certainly says something.
So you okay? What does it say? I'm confused on that. Like, why don't
I
you
don't
want to go back to those countries?
know. Because it's a giant pain in the ass, right? It's not a fun place to visit,
Yeah.
right? So what does it do? It probably makes me I'm entitled.
Okay.
It's good to know.
That is good to know. So you wouldn't want to do that just to like change yourself, like to know yourself even better? Because you say you
Yeah, I
want to
did
give
that.
back to people more.
Yeah. Well, I say that, but I don't do enough. So
Oh,
saying that's another one. Charity.
Yeah.
Saying is doesn't feed bellies.
That is true.
To know yourself, dude, you got to do a lot of different things, right? You got to do a lot of different things, and also it's a lifelong process. It takes like reflection. It takes doing things that you've never done before or you're scared of. My fiance, I took her to the gym today for the first time. She did squats, right? I'm a squataholic, so she's like, figuring out really quick. She's like, oh shit, I don't have that much hip flexibility. Also, she's finding out. She's like, oh, I can beat that. So I don't know. There's like a lot of different ways to know oneself. What kind of books do you like? You know what? I started reading books because I was like, I want to learn business. And I started reading business books and I'm like, these are boring. And then what I started to be drawn to was economic historical accounts that lead to political revolutions. That is my absolute favorite fucking topic to ever learn, think, or talk about is political revolution.
Now, well, do you think like you have to learn things that you don't like? Like like a kid needs vegetables, but they don't like vegetables, but you know that they need it.
I think you should read things that that don't necessarily come easy, but I don't think you should read things that you don't like or find useful just to like put yourself through some unbearable pain. I think you should definitely read things like, it's like I always tell I fuck with I don't want to get into politics too much, but one of my favorite little games is I fuck with Republicans. And I'm like, the Communist Manifesto, the book that they're terrified about. I'm not a big fan of Marxism, but they talk about this Communist Manifesto as if it's this giant, terrifying book. And if you don't know, the book's 49 pages.
49.
Right? You can finish 49 pages. 49 pages. You can finish it in about 2 hours.
I'm guessing it talks about communism.
Yeah. Well, he's Karl Marx. Yeah. He invented it. My point is, they're terrified of this book that they've never read, and it would take 2 hours to read it, but they talk about it. So, like, reading books that you don't know or you're afraid of or disagree with your opinion is healthy, but also you shouldn't be a masochist. You shouldn't go off and just read a bunch of shit you hate just to be like, just
A hater.
just to be miserable on purpose. Well,
Yeah.
just to like, so there's a balance, but you should definitely put yourself like growth comes when you look. It's simple. Comfort zone. What's the goal? The goal of your comfort zone is to have 1 foot in the comfort zone and 1 foot outside of the comfort zone at all times.
Yeah.
You should always be insecure about your lot in life because you should always be doing something that you don't think you're capable of. That's how you learn yourself.
Don't you ever get disappointed whenever you can't do a certain thing?
Every fucking day.
Well, you try to
That
build
who
onto
asked me
that.
earlier, like somebody asked me earlier, like, what'd you have to sacrifice to get where you're at? And I'm like, self-respect,
Yeah.
right? I'm always insecure. I should have said self-confidence. I'm always insecure. I'm always like, even this job out here in Maui, I'm like, I am failing.
Really?
Yeah.
How? I see that.
Because it's
I see
not
it all the time. It looks like
right.
you're doing great.
I know. Because I'm at the absolute limit of my talent every day. And every time I get better, I fucking do something else I can't do. Life is, if you do it right, life is going to be a long journey of fucking insecurity and self-doubt. Because you're always going to be growing. You're always going to be doing something you don't think you can do.
But when does it become like a snowball? Like, yeah, I'm LeBron. I could dunk. I could do all the things.
When you're the biggest guy in the gym, and then you don't want to go find the bigger gym, that's when life gets easy. When you're committed to your life being small.
Okay. Like that one guy that stays in his high school area.
Yeah. Yeah. I was football captain in high school, and it's like, it was 20 years ago. Right? Even Jeff Bezos is like not the richest guy on the earth anymore. Like you have to be. Bill Gates was the richest guy on earth for decades, and now it's like not even close.
Yeah.
Now he's giving away a lot of money, but the point is, it's like you always have to be in this zone where you're like, if you, to your point where you're like, I'm the one. Like even Michael Jordan was like the one for decades and decades and decades. I don't know anything about sports, so I don't like. I use sports metaphors very hesitantly, right? But Michael Jordan was the one, and now, and I don't know, right? It's they're arguing: is it LeBron or is it Michael Jordan?
It's always gonna be Michael Jordan. I mean,
it is Michael Jordan.
Okay, right, but it's a okay, but it's a. My point is,
yeah.
It's an arguable fact, let's say. So it's like, dude, there is no place in the world that you can go where you are the swinging dick forever. There is no like, what is the old saying? Like the crown, heavy is the crown.
Yeah.
Right. When you're number one, guess what the only place to go is?
Nowhere. If you're number one, down.
Bitch, is everywhere to go. Down.
Down.
It's the only place to go is down.
You're not wrong. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So there's no place you're gonna get in life where you're like, okay, I figured it out. I'm the one.
Damn.
Unless you give up, unless you stop like trying. But if you're gonna try, look at Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone like solved real estate. He's like the best in the world. And now he's gonna try to go into politics, and he's gonna have a really rough fucking time because he's a whole different world. Right? He's gonna get banged up. It is not gonna be easy.
You think some people can get taken out just from starting something new? Like Grant Cardone, he's big now, but like give him like him doing the politics thing, you think his whole brand and everything can be taken out just from him trying something new?
No, but you can still fail is my point. Like he's at a place where you're like, how can you just be the like you made it sound like, how can you just guarantee success? There's there's nothing. Even Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden.
But like he has mitigations where he can just do it again. He has next 4 years to run.
Right, but do you don't think that fucks with his right? He lost, and he just didn't lose. He lost all three houses of government.
Yeah,
like he lost cataclysmically. So like, what do you think that happens to like? You're asking like, I think you were asking like about like confidence. Like, how do you just know you're like, oh, I'm the one. I'm great.
Yeah,
and I'm like, not if you're stretching, not if you're trying. Hillary thought she was great, and she fucking lost. Anyways, that guy's got his hand up for like 30 minutes now.
Yeah, no, Sami, go ahead. Ask your question, Sami.
I apologize.
Your mic's muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Do you think your contrarian perspectives made you really good at sales? Always wanted to like not follow the pact?
That's a good question. I don't know. I learned sales in Fayetteville. I was working at freaking a little Volkswagen dealership, Valley Volkswagen out in Fayetteville. I didn't really want to go into sales. They talked me into it. I like people. I got good at it. I think being a contrarian in my life has provided me this weird opportunity like this. I always have a perspective that whoever I'm talking to hasn't thought of. So I don't know if it makes me good at sales, but it always allows me to say something that the other person hasn't thought of. And that just creates interesting sort of conversations. So I would say like that's a benefit. But I don't know that contrarianism in sales is necessarily good. In fact, it might be the opposite, right? You might want to be like an optimist, right? Yes, 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 yes. You always want to be like, yeah, 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 we'll solve that. Yeah, no problem, right? So I think a lot of optimism in sales is probably better. Contrarianism, again, I think it gives me that specific benefit where I can think and articulate my ideas in a way that people aren't thinking about, but I don't know if that makes me better at. I don't think about those as being necessarily tied.
Do you have like a follow-up question with that, Sami?
Yeah. So along with sales, like what is your idea on like that Wolf of Wall Street scene where it's like sell me that pen? You like that?
It's a very common tactic because what it does is it emphasizes that people don't. What it does is it displays whether or not people understand the sales process. So sales is solving problems. That's all it is. So when you like sell me the pen, what most people who don't understand sales, the first thing they instinctively do is they try to sizzle. Oh, this is a great fucking pen. It's blue. It's the best blue that's ever lived. It writes good. And what they and that's like the reason that scene exists, and that exists in all sales, by the way. We used to do it in the car business, right? Sell me this thing. It's like it's an exercise to help you understand the sales process. And the goal is to run through what's called the road to the sale, right? It's the same as always. The sales process is the same. And so the first thing you do when you want to sell somebody a pen is ask them, what are you going to use the pen for? What's wrong with your current pen?
Mm-hmm.
What do you look, what's important to you in your pen? Like, have you used pens before? What'd you like about them? What didn't you like about them? And so what it does is you start to uncover the problem of the customer. And then you can say like, oh, my last pen, it didn't write. Great. This one does. Yeah, everything you fucking ever wanted in a pen. Right. And so so that scene, that sell me this pen is designed to uncover how well somebody understands the sales process, which is a process to basically it's build rapid rapport, uncover like like uncover the problem. You have to understand the customer's problem, right? Then you have to sort of highlight the benefits, the impact that your solution will have for their problem. Then you have to like sort of do a trial close. You start to, do these things where you're like, okay, sounds like you wanted a blue pen. You wanted a pen that writes good. You wanted a pen that was inexpensive. You agreed that this fit all of those criteria. So it sounds like this is the perfect pen, right? Like, how soon are you looking to buy this pen? And you start to like do what's called trial closing, and then you ask for the sale. So that that sell me this pen is a very common thing in sales. That's not just in the movie. That's in every sales company that's ever lived. And again, just to repeat myself 3 times now, I apologize. The goal is to see if how well somebody understands the very well documented sales process that is designed to solve a customer's problems. And it's important and useful to know.
Do you have a lot of people that fail on that whenever you used to work at the
Everybody, because nobody knows what I just said. So they think like, oh, I'm a good talker. I'm good at sales. And it's like, that's not sales. Sales is not smooth talking. In fact, that's fraud, right? What did we talk earlier? It's like, it's just sizzle. It's not steak. It's not, nobody wants to, you're not going to be able to make a living on smooth talking, right? Unless you're like a low level con man. You're going to make a living on solving problems. The bigger the problem, the more money you'll make.
Now that I have a question with that. But Zay, did you have a question before? I know you had your hand up.
Yeah, nah, I lost my train of thought.
Damn, okay.
Sorry, dude, I'm rambling. I apologize.
No, you're good. My question is like, do you think religion has a play in your decision making as well, Alex? Because in business as well, because I know like Sami here, he runs like a marketing business, and he told me like he had like a deal with his winery. In our religion, we're not allowed to drink alcohol or give alcohol to people. So
sure.
And in our religion, we believe that business in general, like any money that you make in your whole life, it's already been decided. Now it's your decision if you want to make it sinfully or if you want to make it in a good way. and basically we were discussing like, yeah, this is not a good idea to actually go with this winery. You have plenty more other people that you can do marketing for. You don't have to do it for them. So what's your thought process on like, does religion have a play in your business?
Your ethics, values, morals certainly have a big part in how you make money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What's your, is it,
Islam.
what's your religion? Yeah, I don't know Islam that well. I'm not really affiliated with any religion in specific. I'm sort of I really like understanding and learning about religion, but I don't claim any of them. But if it breaks your ethics, right? I have moral rules. If it breaks my moral rules, religious or not, I don't fucking do it.
Okay.
I don't lie. So if I have to lie to a customer to get them to buy something, then I'm not going to do it. I don't care what it makes. I don't care. So like, I think staying true to your morals and your ethics is important. Yes. I also think that the problem, this is maybe a smaller problem, like staying true to your morals is most important because like, yeah, you don't get this deal. It's like, it's fine. There's lots of ways to make money that are outside of alcohol.
Yeah.
In fact, most ways, right? That's only a small little sliver. So like, it's not worth, there's no amount of money worth giving up your values. So I'll say that whether those are religious or non-religious values, that's whatever. At the same time, I will say this about religion as a criticism in general. People don't always understand what is actually said in these books. They just hear what gets passed down
Traditionally.
sort of like by their folks, but they haven't
Yeah.
really read or understand the text. So like, okay, in the Christian religion, there was like the big to do about gays, and they're like, well, none of the religions really like gays. I get that. And so it's like it can get in the way unnecessarily.
Hmm.
I'll say that. So there's definitely like a balance. I wouldn't personally say like you should. The problem is if you go too dogmatic, you're like, this is what they say, and then you don't question it or go near it, or even take the time to not just question it, but like, what does it actually say and why, and really understand the context. Then you can get into weird trouble because when you misinterpret these texts, you do everybody a disservice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Chick-fil-A doesn't open on Sundays because of religion, and they end up making way more money. Not only because of that, but partially because of that. So I think it's definitely good as a brand to have a stand, to take a stand on things. Like this, I don't do this because my religion says no, and I take my religion seriously. It's like, guess what? You're going to get a lot of Muslim customers because they're like, oh, these are my people. Right?
Like having like a halal type of like restaurant, like because you stick with that. Okay.
Yeah. So there's importance to take a stand. I wouldn't give up your values for any amount of money. But I also will say, like, just again to reiterate, it's like, you should understand what you're doing beyond just what your parents taught you. Because parents, who fucking knows what they actually know? You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with those motherfuckers. They say a lot of shit.
Do you think some people, they sell their soul to the devil for money? Like they do like
most don't. Certainly some do.
Mhm.
Most don't. Especially most like people who earn it the hard way. Most people, I mean, look, I can't speak for Islam, so I don't know it, but I'll speak for like, the Bible's like, bro, get to fucking work. Work is good. Work is godly.
Yep.
It's like work your ass off 6 days in a row. Now rest one day, right? And then get your ass back to work. So, Jesus wants you to make money if you're into Jesus, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm just speaking what I know about religion, so I apologize.
We believe in prophecy, so yeah, he's in there.
Yeah, but like they're all like, go make money, right? There's nothing. The Bible is misquoted, right? It's not money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. So like, don't get greedy. Do people sell their soul for money? I think the biggest place I see this right now, anywhere in our culture, is the women on OnlyFans. I think
Yeah.
that's the slimiest, most unethical way that they've found to make money, and they're making it hand over foot. But, you know, do what you want to do. I'm not here to judge.
You don't judge it. Like none of your like yeah, I get a lot of people that tell me like, hey, you shouldn't tell me what to do. Like a younger sister or whatever, right? But I'm like, well, if I'm like the only like who if nobody's gonna tell you what to do, so there has to be somebody that kind of guides you in a way like, hey, yeah, this is probably not like OnlyFans is not a good idea because you're gonna regret about this 10 years down the line whenever you do get married and your husband finds out like, hey, this is a bad idea. You know?
Sure.
Do you ever have like your personal, whether it's someone that, relative wise, friend wise, relationships that you're like, okay, I gotta put my foot down, you know?
I tell people what I think pretty openly.
Yeah, you do
Now they
actually.
can do it. Yeah, they can do it. Now they can do whatever they want. Like my job in life is not to police my friends and make sure they do things that I approve of.
Mhm.
That I don't do. So like if you're doing something stupid, I'm like, hey, that's fucking stupid. And then we go about our business, and I can make my decision whether if you go too far in life and I have to, distance myself from you, that's a different kind of story. But this idea that it's my obligation or it's my responsibility. It's not my responsibility. It's not even just my responsibility. It's sort of my responsibility to stay out of people's lives. Like,
Yeah,
in a weird way. I mean, maybe your kids, but even then it's like, dude, your kids, you gotta be really careful. You don't own anybody.
that is true.
You don't own these motherfuckers. Like they're human beings. They're going to make decisions. It's your job to like find the people that are a right fit for you so you can go through life productively with people that you enjoy and that you can give back to. But people are going to make bad decisions. It's not your job to police all of them or take on the guilt of like not being able to fix them because they're not doing a thing you want to do. Like that, none of that is your job. And in fact, in many ways, I would say it's stepping over the line if you take too much burden to like want somebody to live a life that's approval of you. That ain't up to you.
Mm-hmm. Man, and you don't want any kids at all? Or you think you're not gonna get any?
Nah.
You sure? Not even one?
Pant, nope. I know how to count. I said no.
Oh, damn.
Pant asked for sales books. The two books I would say, one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Classic. Everybody should read it.
Mhm.
Super good book. Simple book. And the other one is Grant Cardone wrote a book called Sell or Be Sold. Love that book.
That was a good book.
Love that book. If you can't sell somebody, it's the two things I learned from that book are one, everybody's making a sale. You're either selling them on yes or they're selling you on no. That's a really good mindset. And then the second thing about sales in that book is and I think about this a lot, is the first person you need to sell is your family. If you can't sell your significant other, your partners, your family, if you can't sell them on an idea, it's gonna be very hard to sell the rest of the world on the idea. So I think about that a lot. If you're trying to work out something, it's like, and sometimes they're the hardest people to sell, to be honest, because they're like, they know you, right? Especially parents, because they watched you poop in your pants. And now you're like, I'm gonna go make money, and they're like, okay, little buddy, sure you are, right? So you have to like kind of prove. You have to like, you have to win in the face of their memories of you. So not to say it's easy, but anyways, those two books.
Those are good books, yeah. We can get to the ending questions right now. Alex.
Sure.
You answered these before, but if they change, it'll be nice. Well, what quote do you live by now?
I hate this question.
Why?
Well, because it's singular. I have a whole long list of quotes that I love. Let's see. I got a whole bunch of them here. Here's one I really like. Ready must you be to burn yourself in your own flame. How can you become something new if you have not first become ashes?
Almost like a phoenix.
Phoenix, yeah, 100%.
I like that.
Here's one. Here's another one.
Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna read you a couple. You fucked up. I'm gonna read you a couple of them.
Go ahead.
Attachments are of great seriousness. You must choose your attachments carefully. You choose your temple of fanaticism with great care. What you wish to sing of as tragic love is an attachment not carefully chosen. Die for one person. This is craziness. People change, they leave, they die, they become ill, they leave, they lie, they go mad, they have sickness, they betray you, and they die. Your nation outlives you. A cause outlives you.
Where's that from?
A book called Infinite Jest, my favorite book.
You and
Here's
that
another one.
book.
Yeah, I love that book. Here's another one. Above all, do not lie to yourself. The man who lies to himself and listens to his own lie comes to a point that he cannot distinguish truth within him, around him, and so he loses all respect for himself and others.
So you
I
never, you
gotta
don't,
listen to these.
yeah, you do have a lot. I mean, I have a bunch too on my Notion. Do you think,
Yeah, my Notion board.
there you go. I love Notion. Do you think, when you say you don't lie at all, you don't do any little white lies at all, just to protect somebody from like bad news or whatever? Like, you know, how, like some people they're
Sure.
like, everything's okay, everything's gonna be all right, type thing.
Sure. It's the difference between there's a difference between being perfect and wanting to be perfect.
Mhm.
Put it that way. So, I think lying to yourself is you are the easiest person to lie to, and it's like one of the easiest like mistakes to commit. And it's not to say that I'm perfect. I'm just saying I work every day to make sure that I'm not making that mistake because
Yeah.
it is a tough one.
Okay. What are some consistent questions you ask yourself? Probably like weekly, monthly, whatever.
Does my stress match the stakes?
Hmm. Like if what you're doing is worth it.
No. If my stress is worth the problem, or is like, am I more stressed out than the problem actually entails? For
But
example, like, am I stressed out? Like, hey, why am I stressed out at a 10 when there's no bullets flying? This is not a real problem.
Oh, true.
This is a fake problem. Right? Everybody's healthy. Everybody's bellies are full. Right? We're not getting evicted from our house. Like, there's no bullets. Like, my stress should not be over a 5. Infinite Jest. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the book.
That book is no motherfucking joke, dude. Actually, I think I need to do a reread. That book is
Oh,
no.
man.
Did you read it? Did you read it? Did you read it with me, Fahaben?
Yes, and I was like, bro, this book is kind of mid. I kind of dropped it. I was
Yeah,
like,
you couldn't handle it. That book is no
not that I
fucking
can't
joke.
handle it, just like it's just there's better books out there. I don't know why you like that book. Why is that? I don't get why that's your favorite book out of everything.
Did you finish it? Did you finish it?
No, I'm gonna listen to an audiobook just so I can finish it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 62 hours on audio.
I know. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn.
That book is hard. What's it about? You tell me what it's about, and then I'll tell you if it was mid or not.
I couldn't tell you if it's like what's it about.
Yeah.
Haven't read the full thing. It's I read like the first couple pages. I'm like, this is gonna be way too like you know you can read like the back. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, you said okay. I didn't judge a book by its, I didn't judge a book by its cover. I actually read a little few of the pages. I was like, this is gonna be a bit.
This is you're this people's leader.
No, I'm not their leader. Okay.
You're the leader.
No.
I read a couple of pages and then I judge this book. Okay, wow.
I'll read it one day, but I put it in a save for later type area.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get there. I'm reading Alex Hormozzi's book right now. Both his books.
Oh, that's definitely easier.
Yeah, and I think they're better. Would you not say they're better than Infinite Jest? Why? I mean, you don't like business.
They're simple. They're simple. Yeah, they're simple books for simple problems.
Simple problems. You're above me. You're like, you're age-wise. You're like what? 20 years older than me. So
yeah, for sure.
So like, yeah, everything to you might be simple. For me, it's like, damn, I gotta figure this out. Like I got
but that's not what happened. That's not what happened. You didn't say, "Oh man, that book's too advanced." You said that book's just not that good.
Yeah, I'll read it. Okay, shit, I'll read it.
My dude shit talks. He shit talks the book. Not. This is a self deception. This is the lie, right here. This is the self lie.
Okay, fine. I'll read it, but it's just too long. It's just a too long book. And you saying you want to reread it is like a
That'll be my third time. Yeah, that's the whole point. The whole point. The book is a criticism of American culture, and it's people that part of it, part of the reason why it's so long is to showcase that people will not put in the work for the hard thing. Instead, they go do the short-sighted, easy thing, which is exactly what you did.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
What book is this
Yeah.
again? What
Infinite
was the
Jest.
book called?
It's called Infinite Jest.
It's a long ass book.
It's a long ass book, written in 1996, long ago.
His favorite book. Okay, so the book that you reread, do you have notes in there so that you're like, oh, can't believe I thought of like this? You do that all the time?
I just know that book so well.
Man, you should start reading
Yeah.
more books. Like,
It's not. Yeah, I read books. I read a lot of books.
I know you do.
You should read Walden.
Walden?
Yeah, that's the book you can handle.
What's that about?
Walden is about Henry David Thoreau leaves the city and he goes to live at Walden Pond, and he writes about his life living in a little cabin by himself for 2 years away from the city, and he describes how much of our stress is fake.
I agree. Is that before or after he got arrested? Or he was in prison?
Are you talking about the same person?
Yeah, the one that Martin Luther King looks up to. No, he's like,
I don't know. I didn't know he got arrested.
Yeah. But like,
Oh, for tax protesting. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. Yeah, that's kind of his shtick.
yeah.
That's
I
kind of
mean,
his
like,
shtick. That's what the book was about. He was mad about the cities growing. And so he was like, you don't fucking need this. Watch this. I'll go live in Walden Pond.
but his problems back then isn't my problems now, you know?
Okay.
What? It's true. Like, he lived where there's like 1800s. He had like what, sticks and stones. Like us now, we have.
This is you're the leader of these men right here.
Oh
You're the leader of
God.
these men. This guy that doesn't know this dude's life or haven't read his book, and he's like, oh, his
I
problems
know
aren't my
about him.
problems.
Okay, I know about him. But the thing is, their problem is not our problem. You're like, yeah, history does repeat. History is like a big thing. But the thing is that, yes, like I can learn from Stoicism. I can learn from Marcus Aurelius, but he didn't have the same problems. Like, okay, he's fighting, but I wake up to like military stuff, like a 9 to 5 type thing. He doesn't. He was in a different era. I get it.
He lived what? About 50 years after the founding fathers wrote the Declaration of Independence. So do you have anything to learn from them?
Who, the 50 years after? Yeah, kind of, yeah.
The founding fathers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. They were the founding fathers.
Yeah.
But look, what are you trying to say? Like, oh, Henry David Thoreau, like, I mean, what if he's like a weirdo, you know? Like, you just want to learn from a weirdo, like, dude, what are you trying to say? Like,
I won't know until I read his books.
Oh my God. There's all right, touche. Okay, touche. I'll read Warden. I'll put it on my list. Go ahead, Sami.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, those older books are like harder to read and like more complex to understand. So how would you go about like trying to understand them better? Just like reading other people's onlines better? Or
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things that I did when I started reading harder books was I like the challenge. I understand that not everybody likes that, but there's something very universal about the human experience. So whether it's Marcus Aurelius or Seneca or somebody who lives in Miguel de Cervantes, who writes Don Quixote in the 1500s, they're still talking about the human experience. So there's like way more universality than difference. It's way more applicable than people think. Some of the books are harder. Some of them just take a little bit more focus. Like most people are, these are not books written for geniuses. These are books written for regular people, and I'm a regular people, and you're probably a regular people. So I think sometimes you just have to sit down and like give it a fair shot, even though it's hard. Some of them are hard. The second thing is, and this is a big one, this is why I do book club, is a lot of times you just need to talk it through with somebody. So there's a difference between passive learning and active learning. And passive learning is you read a book. It's passive. right? The book just happens to you. Active learning is when you then were to say something like, why don't you read a book and then write me 500 words about why it was important? And that really makes you think in a different way because you have to not just have a book in your head, but you have to consolidate the thoughts that you are thinking and explain them in a way that would be applicable to somebody else that they could read. So it really makes you narrow your ideas and really consolidate them and make them concise and makes you really think something through. And then so writing has really been tremendous for me. I write a ton about books. And then the other one is again book club. So it's like you come to a book club and Fahaben says, this fucking book is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, maybe. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What did you understand? What didn't you understand? Why is that important? And so having people to talk through and like have a genuine conversation about things um can unlock both motivation to continue, which is a lot of it. So uh I sometimes host a book club. It's kind of in hiatus right now because I haven't had the time. Um but having other people's perspectives will open up new things in your head where you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Now that makes it more interesting. It also makes it, again, a little bit more motivating because you're like, well, I don't want to be, nobody wants to be the dumb one, I don't think, in the group. So what it does, it makes you like pay attention and step up. It's a little bit of accountability. So I think to summarize, again, active learning versus passive learning. I think the biggest thing with books is curiosity, right? Um, there's a tendency in entrepreneurship, and I started this way, where it was like, oh, I just want to make money. And so, read books. But I don't actually, you can't really learn how to make money from books. You learn how to make money from experimenting, let's say, from going to the marketplace and trying things. Books provide an intellectual sort of stimulation that nothing else in the world can provide. And it's fostered by, if you're a curious person and you read more, you'll find yourself reading more. So one of the things, the easiest ways to find books that to answer your question more concisely, when you're like, how do you do this? One of the books that you might want to do is find people that you really like in this life and find out what books they recommend and then go down that rabbit hole. So like I always really looked up to Bill Gates. That's how I found Infinite Jest, because Bill Gates writes this thing. He's like, I love David Foster Wallace, the author, and I've tried to read Infinite Jest, but it's too big and I'm scared of it and I can't do it. And so I said to myself, Bill fucking Gates can't read this book. I'm going to do it. I'm going to fuck him up. I can outcompete him. So that's why I read Infinite Jest, because Bill Gates was too scared. And just like Fahaben.
I'll read it, but I don't like, okay, you look up to Bill Gates as a figure. I kind of see like someone like Alex Ramosi, as a figure. So reading his
What
book,
about
when are you going to create your own book, Alex?
When I
what
know
about
more.
movies? Like, how do y'all feel about movies? I know, like you mentioned earlier, Alex, about like franchises. Have you ever seen the movie The Founder?
Ray Kroc, yeah.
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 Does that inspire you?
Um, so I love movies, actually. Because I'm
Uh-oh.
a videographer. So I love movies. I think movies tell a bit different perspective of the human experience than books in general. Not always, but it's a little more emotional. It's a little more like, it's a little more about, stories about people. Whereas I find books, at least the books I like, are generally, it's a good question. They both have their place. I don't find one to be a replacement for the other. If you like books like The Founder, I'll tell you a book. I don't know if it's inspirational, but one of my favorite, I'll tell you a movie. One of my favorite movies of all time is it's a book about a capitalist. Daniel Day-Lewis plays an oil baron in a movie called There Will Be Blood. I fucking love that movie.
I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah. I know you'll watch movies.
Shut
Books,
up.
I know you can't do.
Shut up. Listen, okay, my idea about these books that you read, like how much of like these people do you want to know to the point where like why, like I get it. Like, oh, I think if I read about, like you said, if I read about something about, I don't know, who has the hardest life, like super hard, maybe.
David
Let's-
Foster Wallace, the guy who wrote Infinite Jest,
You
ended
think he
up
had the hardest
committing
life?
suicide. He hanged himself.
Well, I don't want to be like him.
No. Do you want to not be like him?
That is true. You're right. Yeah. So like, what? That's his whole
Go
memoir.
find out.
It's like,
Well, yeah, the book is partially his experience. I'm not trying to tell you to go read Infinite Jest. I mean, it's my book. It's my favorite book. What am I going to tell you? Right? My second favorite book is the book about economics. It's called Anti-Fragile by a guy named Nassim Taleb, who I
Yeah.
love.
he's
So
also
I'm not
hard
telling
read.
you like what. Yeah,
Man, all these
he's
hard
also
reads.
he's also the smartest and probably one of the most successful people on planet Earth.
Yeah, I
Right? And he
agree.
did it without the fame, and he did it without building a business. He did it on the back of his own intelligence as an individual.
Oh, just isn't that like through
Investing.
stocks and stuff? Like investing?
Yeah. In 2020, when COVID hit and the stock market drops 30%, his fund goes up 4,300%.
Damn.
Damn is right.
Damn. He's good with his money. But there has, yeah. Some people are
Dude, the
smart
question
like
goes back to this. It's like, dude, what do you want to do? I mean, I'm not trying to tell you to read only my books, but also Alex Hormozy's book is popular with entrepreneurs. Do you want to think? We talked about contrarianism before. Do you want to think like everybody else, or do you want to think like a unique individual?
You want to think like unique individual,
Then
but
you have to read books that nobody else is reading. That's that.
But no, not a lot of people are reading Alex Hormozy's book. Like what percentage
It's
of
the number one book on Amazon business for like 4 years in a row.
okay. But who's reading business books? You know what I mean? So okay,
Everybody
you're telling,
in business.
so you're telling me, hey, you got to be separate. You got to be contrarian to what majority of the population is doing, and then from
Let me
that
ask-
subgroup, you got to be
here's
a
a better
contrarian to
question.
that.
What's Alex Hormozy reading?
That is true. Probably like what Warren Buffett's reading. But what is
Yeah.
Warren Buffett?
What's Warren Buffett? There you go. They got lists. The Intelligent Investor. Warren Buffett's favorite book. He's been saying it for 40 years. The Intelligent Investor. Ben Graham.
That's also a big book too.
That's not a hard book.
It's not a hard book.
How
but
about this
what do
one? I got one from it. I got one for you.
Go
Here's a
ahead.
quote. Freedom of the mind requires not only, or not even specifically, the absence of legal constraints, but the presence of alternative thoughts. The most successful tyranny is not the one that uses force to assure uniformity, but the one that removes the awareness of other possibilities. If you only read what everybody else reads, you only know what everybody else knows.
I agree.
Okay.
But don't you think like, oh, the person's already done the work of digesting what the other person's read, and then they're just spitting out the good information?
I don't think about it in a singular set of books. It's like this. You keep harping on Infinite Jest as if that's like the only book I've ever read.
No, you read more books, yeah.
Yeah, I read 20, 30 books a year. So it's not that I read. So you read $100 million. You read a Hormozy, and it's like, okay, and what else? So it's not. I read the business books because they're easy, and there's a few a year that are good, and then I read all sorts of other shit that other people don't read because I want to think differently.
Mhm. Now, if you are reading those books, my thing is, why not just get the digestive version of what everyone's reading? So like,
Oh, I got a quote for that too.
oh, go ahead. Like if they're teaching you in a fifth
Okay,
grade level,
here's the book. Here's a quote from Henry David Thoreau.
oh, here we go.
To read well, that is, to read true books in a true spirit, is a noble exercise, and one that will tax the reader more than any exercise which the customs of the day esteem. It requires training such as the athletes underwent, the steady intention almost of the whole life to this object. Books must be read as deliberately and reservedly as they were written.
Okay.
Suck it.
But you don't think there's like there's somebody out there that's trying to give out misinformation? Like, hey, okay,
Dude,
my ideology.
This is okay. Hang on. I want
Go
to talk to
ahead.
everybody else in the room for a second.
Go ahead.
Here's what I recommend. I recommend you approach life with a very curious mind.
Of course.
Okay. And what that means is, what does Plato say? I am the wisest man, not because I know everything, because I know how little I know.
Yeah.
And so when you start saying things like, well, I don't want to read books because don't you think somebody might be presenting misinformation? That's a very bad argument, because what that does is that says, I might learn something wrong, so I'm not going to learn at all. But the reality is, the more you learn, the more that it makes your brain harden steel against bad information, because you start to know better.
That is true.
So this is like a 30-minute argument about all the reasons why you don't want to read hard books. So I recommend,
you're right.
I recommend you do not take this path. And since you seem unreachable, I want to talk to the other 4 people.
Okay,
3 people.
I'm reading hard books.
Read. It doesn't have to be hard, but read things that make you question
everything.
what you think you already know. You know who's a good one is Carl Sagan, famous astrophysicist from the 80s. He wrote a book, Science as a Candle in the Dark. It's a book about how to protect yourself against misinformation, bad information, charlatanism. It's a book about how to think for yourself.
Well, what about those that think like, okay, you're reading all these books, but what are you trying to obtain from, like, are you trying to start a revolution? Or are you trying to do something really big with this information? Or are you just holding it in the back pocket if it does come to that time? Like, oh yeah, I expected this.
Me personally?
Yeah.
Well, I want to write a book.
Okay.
Candle, yeah, what's it called? Candle in the Dark. It's not Candle in the Dark. It's The Demon Haunted World.
It's free on audiobooks, I think.
It's The Demon Haunted World, Science as a Candle in the Dark. What do I want to do with it? First, I wanted to write a book. And so before you can write a book, right? If you're an asshole, you just go write a book. If you have respect for your fellow man, then you're going to go read. So you know as much as you possibly can know before you start having the audacity to go teach.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's how I found Taleb. I wanted to write a book about risk, and then I read from the fucking master, and I realized I don't know shit.
Okay.
Right? Learn more, teach less. So first, reading is I wanted to write a book, so I have to know what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of books to learn from before you know what you're talking about. Secondly, human beings write books, and I want to stand human beings, because every dollar that I'm ever going to make and every person that I'm ever going to interact with and the way that the world is shaped is all done by human beings. So if I understand human beings, I have a better chance of succeeding in the world in a variety of different ways, not just making money, but also politically. You know, I talk about revolutions, and it's like, I talk about that a lot because we're in a very precarious spot in American culture where revolution is
My
more
thing is
possible
like,
now than
I get, not that I hear it all the time though. It's like, it just gets annoying when people just consistently talk about revolutions. I'm like, bro, I get it, but you know, bills still need to get paid. It's like, yeah, you can talk about it. Yeah, you can. There are. Do you agree that there are some people that just read just to read, and they just sit at home and just read all day?
Yeah, my fiance, she reads 150 books a year.
Damn.
Yeah, she likes reading. I read to learn. I want to learn.
Yes.
Some people don't want to do either, but I'm not. In fact, I don't care what you do. I'm just letting you know my position.
Yeah.
You're like really fighting me on this for some reason.
I'm not fighting you. I'm just trying to figure out, like,
I don't want to learn a fucking thing.
I do want to learn, but I feel like these guys are just so old. Like, they just don't understand.
Mistake. You're gonna be old one day. You're gonna be old one day. Let me tell you something. If you're lucky, you're gonna be old one day, and some 25-year-old knucklehead's gonna come by and be like, "You're 50. What do you know?" And it's like, "Oh, everything."
Yes.
You'll be wiser along. You'll be wiser.
I would be wiser, but the thing is, technology would probably surpass me, and I'll be like, "Oh, what? How do I turn on the TV?" Like, you know what I mean? It's like, he's gonna be like, "Yeah, this guy's
dude, this is
what?
you got a lot. You need I think this is, you know what you need. You don't need to. I can't help you. You need a therapist.
No. No,
No, see, this motherfucker
no.
don't need nothing.
I
This is
don't
just
need a therapist.
this is a lot of
I'm just
negative. This is
telling
a
you,
lot of
it's not
negativity.
negativity. It's just like, okay, I want to read these books, but I'm gonna
What is the
combat
point
them.
of this? What is the point of this university that you're hosting right here if it's not to learn?
It is to learn, but like, the thing is that I like to tell people, hey, fight everything, right? Don't just accept everything, fight everything. Like all these old people I want to read about, Marcus Aurelius, sure, Alexander the Great. I'll read about them, but like I want to be like, what the hell do you think? Right?
So in 10 years, in 20 years,
Yeah,
when Alex Hormozi's book is old,
yeah.
it's gonna be a big waste of time. You know what? You're thinking about this wrong. Why Marcus? Okay. Guess who was old?
Who?
The motherfuckers that wrote the Quran.
Yeah.
So we just throw that away?
No.
No.
It's
Let me put this in a different light.
Yeah.
Every single year, thousands of books, millions of books are written. And every single year, humanity as a whole gets to decide what books are worth keeping in the culture and what books are worth not keeping in the culture. If you find a book that is very old and people still talk about it, buy it, read it, it lasted the test of time. Do you know how fucking hard that is?
Hard.
The older the book is, the more valuable it is, not less.
Okay.
That's why the old religious texts are so valuable. That's why they bind them in gold, because they're the best books and they last 2,000 years.
You don't think you can? Well, my thing is, if they're getting their information from these books, like you're saying, hey, where did this person get their information from? Where does this person get their information from? Doesn't that all like rely on just one book or a couple books, and just read those old couple books and you'll be fine? Or do you think you gotta read everything?
Because there's a lot of information out there, dude. You think you think you think you can learn the world in 5 books? You're out of your fucking mind. Here's what you need to do. You need to read 50 books a year for the rest of your life, and then you'll have a fucking glimpse of how the world works.
True. Yeah.
This idea that you're like fighting me on reading books is like, dude, you should be. I'm mad that I can't read more.
I can't read more either. That's why I'm like, I have to pick and choose like which ones I'm good.
Yeah, that's a good problem. You got to start getting good at picking books because it's hard.
And
you will waste time on a lot of.
That's why I'm like, if it's like good. 30 books, like 30 authors versus one, like.
Oh, so now we're going by volume.
Oh, here we go. Sami, what's your question? You had your hand up.
Yeah, Sami, I need to talk to somebody smart.
Here we go.
You're muted again, my dude.
My bad. Keep making a mistake.
It's all good.
So, like, I just want to ask, so say, like, I have some, like, friends who read those philosophical books, right? But they aren't, like, entrepreneurial. So I feel like that, like, throws me off of it, from, like, wanting to read those books. Like, I don't know how, like, to say, like, how to not misinterpret the book and, like, go not the way I don't want to go, for example. If that makes sense?
Sure. Everybody has different, like, you like what you like, or let's really be careful. Let's say it this way. Not everybody likes the same thing. So like, if you don't want to read philosophy, some people don't like it. My mom can't read it. My brain just works that way. I think very abstractly. I don't think so much about the day-to-day. I only daydream about abstract philosophies. So like, I particularly like it. If you don't like it, like, I'm not selling it to you. I'm not selling it to you. So it's important to find the balance of like things that you place, like you have to keep learning. And you have to learn, and by learning, I specifically mean reading things that are challenging. Right? Or just, it could be even podcasts that are challenging. But you have to also understand where the failure happens. The failure happens when you get into a comfort zone that you're unwilling to break. When you say things like, I know what I know, and I don't need to learn anything else, or I don't want to learn things that challenge myself. You see this in politics a lot. People that are like, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican, and I don't want to go watch the CNN or the Fox News or read the other person's book because I don't want to hear what they have to say because they're fucking idiots. And it's like closed-minded. You don't want to do that. So you always want to, in the back of your head, be like, I think I know what I know, but I'm more likely that I'm an idiot and I could be wrong. So you want to like always have that idea that you're going to challenge yourself and read books that you don't know, or maybe you don't think they're applicable, um, and try. But you also want to find out where your strong suit is. You don't want to read books that you're like, I don't get it. It doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't apply to me. I don't like it, yada, yada, yada. So you got to find that balance of like wanting to challenge yourself, but then also like not doing things that are to your point where you're like, I don't read books about music.
Yeah, true.
I'm not saying that those things aren't valuable. I don't like I don't like biographies.
Really?
Yeah, Shoe Dog, like Walter Isaacson, like these memoirs about Elon Musk and people. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. So I don't read them. Like, but somebody else might get a lot from it. So you have to find your way. But um, I I challenge anybody who the problem is that there's a slippery slope with that, Simi, where it's like because you can do what he's doing, which is like, it's too long, they're old, excuses that started piling up. And then you won't engage with this thing that you don't know about, but you've already judged and said it's not applicable or useful to you. So it's like you have to live in that tension of there are things that I don't know that I might be missing out on. And I'm making a decision of like, I'm not going to engage with that. And I might be wrong, but like, if I had more time, I'd read every book that ever was written, but I don't have that time. So I have to make meaningful choices, but it's always a sacrifice because there's things that I don't know. And there's books written that I should probably read, but I don't know if I don't know them because like it takes time to go read a book and give it a meaningful effort.
Yeah.
But you have to live in that tension.
Pan said, Alexander, you are really articulate. Is it because you read a lot of books?
Perhaps. I think books help.
Oh,
Writing
ways do you
writing
read?
helps a lot.
What ways do you read books, Alex? Do you read it like physically, a pen and paper, or do you read it with Kindle? Do you listen to audiobooks? Like, what's the best way to absorb, in your opinion?
Everybody's different. Audio for me. Love audiobooks. I'm too fidgety to like sit there and read a book. But again, audio is too passive. So for me, the best way for me to do it is, dude, check this out. I will fuck you up. You're gonna get a kick out of
Show
this.
me.
Watch this. I've done this now for years. Actually, I had a really hard year with books, but I've done this for years now. And I did this. I don't share this with anybody necessarily. I mean, it's public online, but like this is not me. I don't sell anything. This is just me. Can you make
Yeah.
Can you make me a co-host?
Yeah, I did.
The best way, my best way, everybody's different. My best way to learn is to read about a book and then write about it.
Okay. Like in your website?
So like on my website. So what I'll show you is like, can you see this right here? My website?
Yeah.
So I come over here, I go to books, the highest return on investment, right? Look at this. 2018, right? Nobody fucking gives a shit. 40 books. Nobody gives a shit. Sapiens, Thinking Fast and Slow. Shitty book. These are my two favorite books of the year. These are my two hated books of the year.
I didn't
Here's all
like
the
Life and
books I
Air.
read. Yeah, Life and Air is stupid. But actually what happened is this is like the first year I did it, 2019. And then what happened was I started doing this. So how I decide on which books I read. All-time favorites, quotes. Oh, Nietzsche, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. What a fucking great book. Oh, The Kingdom of God is Within You. That's Leo Tolstoy. That book right there. That book fucking changed my entire perspective about religion. Don Quixote, 400-year-old book. This is a great year for books, actually. And then I started getting like here's like I haven't updated this since 2020.
Mhm.
But look, here's fucking books, and I write about every single one of them, dude. Look at this.
There's
You
a
know what I
lot of
mean?
books.
And then it's a lot of books. And so like I write about all of them. Nobody gives a shit. I don't make any money. This is just the way for me to like better engage with the ideas. And then some of them, like Inserto, look at this. Here's another, just on this series, here's another couple hundred words. And then if I come over here, The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, this is about World War II and like how the Nazis came into power. And so like this is what I learned. Here you go. And all the mistakes that I thought I knew about it. So did you know that in 1936, the Nazi Party made they commandeered all the churches in Germany and they made them they called them the National Reich Church instead of Christian church, and they took the Bibles out of all the churches by law, and the only book that they could have was Mein
Mein
Kampf.
Kampf. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Right. So here you go. Here's oh, did it go away? Shit,
What?
that quote's going. I had a you guys heard of this book? This is a popular one for business people. The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's about the Federal Reserve.
I heard about that, yeah.
So yeah, so people all have opinions. So I wrote 3,000 words about why I think that book is bullshit. So but it took me, but look, this is no joke, dude, to sit down and actually write it out
do
and
you
think
have
about it and have somebody
do you have a list where it's like, oh, the best books that helped you?
my favorite books of all time. Yeah, here's a
Yeah.
short list. Yeah, in Saratoga by Nassim Taleb. That's actually 5 books, by the way. Um, Thinking Fast and Slow, Sapiens, The Coddling of the American Mind, 1984, A Brief History of Time, Letters to Young Contrarian. Yeah. So when you ask me like, how do you become so articulate? It's like, dude, read books, talk about books, write about books. Not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying you even have to do it. It's just like communicating. The most valuable thing you can maybe do is communicating. This book is insane. The Revolution Betrayed. This book is about how, check this out. This is a great book. You know why?
Why?
This is philosophical Russian. Oh, I don't think I'm sharing my screen more. There's a book called The Revolution Betrayed. It's by a guy named Leon Trotsky from the um, the the Russian Revolution in the early 1900s, and he gets ousted by uh, Joseph Stalin. Okay, why is it important? It's because what happens is all the people that are like, we need to overthrow the government. We need to have a new government. We need to start over, have a revolution. What happens is when they had a revolution is they traded one dictator for another.
Mhm.
It's important. It's important to know that going into when you're like mad at the capitalist system and you're going to overthrow it. And it's like, guess what you're going to get?
Another one.
You're going to get another one, motherfucker. So be careful what you wish for. The Stalin was worse, by the way. It got worse. And the Soviet Union ended in 1991. So it took them 70 fucking years to undo that mistake.
Damn,
Everybody who wanted that revolution was dead before they saw it fixed.
that's sad.
It is sad. So, anyways, I'm not saying you have to go read about Russia revolution and stuff, but
It helps.
that's why I read about it.
Now,
So Pan asked, "What's your process of reading a book from start to finish? Listen to all of it, make notes, chapters." Yeah, so that's a good question, dude. It's a habit like any other. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I think the thing I really want to talk about, I really want to emphasize when it comes to books is like I could be wrong. I think human beings, I give them the benefit of the doubt, maybe. If you think of yourself as a curious human being, if you think of yourself as curious, you have a superpower, a gift from God. Curiosity is a superpower. And so what you want to do is you want to engage with your curiosity in a way that is productive. Don't put too much pressure on yourself and think like, oh, I have to study like it's a test. You don't. You have to learn because you want to learn. So like go find books that you are genuinely think you might be interested in. I don't give a shit if they make you money or not. That's not I'm not telling you about how to make money from books. I'm talking about interesting things and it's an interesting conversation. Not because I read books about how to make money, because I read about books that I'm interested in. So like go find something you're interested in. If you find out halfway through that you don't understand it and you've given it the college try, right? You've actually tried, find somebody else who's read it and talk to them about it maybe. Go do some research on YouTube and get it to explain it to you. Most of the times, especially with fiction, like I'll read a book, I'm like, what the fuck is this about? And I have to do a little bit of research. Like it's not a test. It's not a class. You can do it. I don't want to say for fun. You can do it to just, it's growth. It's learning. So like, don't put too much pressure on yourself. And that being said, if I find a book that I'm reading, like a lot of times what I find, especially with like business books or marketing books, I find that people are more interested in selling books than they are in writing books that have a lot of knowledge. So
Mhm.
I find a lot of times I read like Simon Sinek is one or Malcolm Gladwell. They write pop fiction.
Yeah.
And what I find is I'm like, these should be blog posts. These aren't books, these are blog posts, but they want to sell books and call themselves authors. So I find with those books, I end up not finishing most of them. So don't. And it took me a couple of years to do that. So if you find that you don't want to finish a book, um, and be very, very thoughtful about why you're not finishing it. Is it the wrong book for you? Do you feel like you grasp the author's main point, or do you not understand it? I mean, no, there's no right or wrong answer, but it's like you don't want to give up on books too easy. At the same time, you don't want to trudge through a book that's not the right book for you, just wasting time because you're like have some, you know, un like some rule that you're like, I have to finish every book I start. You don't. That's stupid.
Yeah.
You're reading to like learn. You're reading to grow. And it can be challenging. It's like the gym. Is the gym fun? Not when you do it right. When you do it right, it's fucking hard.
Yes.
Right. But it's a challenge that you enjoy engaging with. So books are the same way. It's like I read the Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. I had to read it twice. It was fucking hard.
Because when I see this one author, you probably know Viktor Frankl. The
Yeah. Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah. Man's Search for Meaning. I liked it, but I don't think it affects me how affected him and more in a way, right? Like how
it also wasn't that good.
Yeah. But some people they're like, oh, this is the best book ever. This is like, I'm like, well, it's not. I don't think so. I think this book is shit. Right. It's like why do we
It's okay.
That's okay. That's okay to be like, hey, you think this is like your holy Bible, right? Above this book, but I think it's crappy. Because I didn't get the same thing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you could be wrong. Also,
yeah,
you gotta be your own person. Just because somebody else likes a book. I mean, you're doing it right now to me. I'm like Infinite Jest, and you're like, that thing sucks. You got no problems then.
Well, it's a big because I know I'm wrong in it, but I'm still gonna stand my ground on it, It's because I haven't read it. If I took the time, I'll promise you this, I'll read it. When I say read, I'll listen to an audiobook of it this year and listen to the whole 62 hours, and then I'll give you my opinion on it. Like, you know what? I did learn something, or man, this book is actually shit. I don't know why I wasted. Thank you for, but I'll see what's gonna happen because it happens all the time. It's like I feel like most people live the same lives. They have like the hero's path in a way. Every person is like, oh, life's gonna be life. It's gonna be sucky. And it's probably just me being a 21-year-old saying this shit. So me like getting to your
Viktor Frankl there's a similar book called The Gulag Archipelago, which is written by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, which is far harder, but it's a similar thing. He goes through the Russian gulags, gets captured, writes the book, gets it taken from him, remembers it, rewrites it when he gets out, publishes it, and then it basically ends the Soviet Union.
It ends the Soviet Union?
Uh-huh. Yeah. When they found out what they were doing to the camps. Yeah, because it went worldwide. And then people found out how they were actually treating the gulag, the exiles. So it's a similar story, but it's actually a far more bleak book in a lot of ways. And it's a lot more sophisticated book because it talks about how these things happen rather than just his experience. Although Viktor Frankl's experience was traumatic. So I guess my point is like, you don't have to fucking like every book, dude.
Yeah.
It's fine.
People
like shitty books. People mostly like shitty books.
I know. And I recommend a lot of books, but people didn't like it. But if I give them David Goggins' book, they're like,
yeah, well, they're dumb. They're idiots. People are idiots. Yeah. Which is why it's so funny. I'm like trying to talk to you about smart books and you're like, ooh.
Okay.
You're the idiot. How do you feel?
Okay. You're not wrong. Okay. I'm not intellectual as you, but I'm getting there. I'm trying.
I couldn't read Infinite Jest at 25. There'd be 0% chance.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm looking at this book. I'm like, damn, I'm trying to read these other books.
Yeah. So do you want to, we're competing. You're just going to let me win?
I'm not going to let you win. Like you told me, like, I got to have this podcast for at least 5 years in order to, I told you, I want to keep doing stuff, but
yeah,
I look at it like I look at other people like, man, they're not reading the same books I am, but they're a little bit more good. Listen, I know where you're already gonna say, hey, don't look at other people, just look at yourself, upgrade by yourself. But I'm like, damn, how are they getting different? Like, what is in their water versus what's in mine? So I kind of like to reflect on that. I'm like, they're not reading Infinite Jest, but they're doing great out there, you know?
Oh, and money.
And money, yeah.
Yeah, well, sometimes ignorance is bliss. So
Oh yeah, I agree. There was
Yeah.
this one time I got
if you want
this-
to, if you're really smart, if you're a really smart person in the world, the likelihood that you make less money is higher because you're gonna think about things too much. Dumb people make a lot more money.
doesn't that suck though?
Yeah.
So what do you what you're giving me a poison? I don't want poison.
Life's unfair. Oh, you can't help it. Like, if you're actually smart, you can't help it. You're fucked because you're gonna think about things too much.
As a kid,
So you might as well
I
read books. You might
yeah.
as well read books.
In my teenage year, I hated. No, I read a book and it changed my life big. Right? I was like, why? Why am I? I wish I didn't learn this. You know, I wish I never picked up the book. I wish I never read this, because now
Yeah.
I look at life like it would be The Rational Male. You probably read about it. By
Yeah.
Rollo Tomasi.
I don't know.
It's like that red pill stuff. And I'm like, wow, I can see it now. It opened my eyes to like, I'm like, why did I read this book? I could have been like,
Yeah, in the Bible, it's you ate the fruit from the tree of knowledge.
yeah, and I'm like,
Now
I'm like,
you're fucked.
I am fucked. That's what I'm like.
Now you're fucked. Welcome to reality.
Yeah, and then I learned about lifting weights and calories, and I'm like, man, now I got to look at everything. And people are like, why are you counting calories? I'm like, well, it's because I know stuff now. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I just got to track stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
like that's why I drink protein shakes. I'm like, it's good for the body. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I wish I could be the person that just goes to McDonald's and eat all the time, but I can't. It's just, it's weird. I wish I was more ignorant. I'm jealous of people that are ignorant and they're so successful. I'm like you said, it's not in it for us.
Yeah. All right.
You have to. Do you agree that?
Well, let's start wrapping up because it's been do you agree the more people you know, the less people you can talk to and make friends with? Yeah. The more that you become an individual, the more you become, not like everybody else. And so the more that you become an individual, the more that you're going to, find yourself on a lonelier road. And that's okay. Because if you're like look, I know lots of people that like have big friend groups that are still friends with the same people they were in high school, and they still go to the same bar, and they still drink the same whiskey, and they still have the same conversations for 20 fucking 30 years. So they don't read no books. Is that what you want?
No,
So
that's scary. That's even more scary. But
Right,
last
that's scary.
question before you go, Alex. I know I took 2 hours of your time, probably more. But you talking to you is like opens my brain a lot more. So last question
It's
would
been a
be
good time.
what question would you like to ask your future self 10 years down the line?
What question would I like to ask my future self? It's a good question, actually. I would ask, even if I had the opportunity, if I could plug into the future and ask somebody, I would ask for clarity. Like, there's a lot of paths you can take in life. I don't want to bounce around. I want to pick some. I want to pick something and stick with it. So I would ask for clarity.
Hmm. Why is that? Do you not like the excitement at these? You don't like the chaos?
Chaos is good in some ways and it's bad in others. You don't want to live a life full of chaos. You can't build anything,
That's true.
right?
That is true.
I mean, how does a house get built? It doesn't get built on chaos.
Gets built on structure.
How do you build a fortress? Fucking proper foundation, proper brick placement,
Mhm.
like very methodically.
True.
Nothing gets built on. There's no business that's big that lasts. I mean, look at the American political system, right? It's foundationally very strong. So we're not running on chaos here.
You don't think
So,
not yet?
no. So I like chaos, but I think it's not a good way to build. It's not a good foundation for anything. So
Okay. Well, that's all I got. That's all I got for you, Alex. Appreciate your time. Man,
anytime, baby.
you're radical.